Okay. Sorry for the silence, everybody. Oh, I didn't start the chat. I'm so irresponsible. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live stream. I am obviously on schedule for what I normally do by not knowing what I'm doing. That's okay. But hello, I hope everybody's doing really well. Hope everybody's having a great day. We're ready to get started. We're going to be playing some more Minecraft like we've been doing for the last little while. I'll probably play some Dead Island tomorrow, but today I felt like some Minecraft. I think Minecraft is a good game for today. I had a decent sleep today. Okay, let me rephrase that. I'm not as tired as I was on Tuesday. Tuesday I was exhausted for the stream and I don't know why. I'm not as tired today, but I had a really crappy sleep. I didn't get to sleep till about 4 in the morning. And I went to sleep at 4 in the morning and I woke up at like 7:30. And then I tossed and turned for a while. I took a melatonin at around 8 o'clock in the morning to try to at least get a little bit of sleep, and I laid there for another like half an hour maybe, and then finally fell asleep again. But then I woke up like within 45 minutes. So that little 45-minute nap at least helped wake me up, which is nice. But yeah, it was a little bit of a rough time. But nothing too crazy. At least I'm not as tired as I was on Tuesday. On Tuesday, I felt like I was going to die. I was so tired, and I don't know why. But we're good. We're ready to get started. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be playing some Minecraft. We were looking for a bastion a couple of days ago, and we didn't have any luck. So I'm going to look for a bastion again today. I don't know how lucky we're going to get in finding a bastion, but I'm going to try my best. There was something else that I wanted to try, and now I can't remember for the life of me. So I'll remember when I remember, and we'll do it when that happens. But, oh, I know what I wanted to do. I want to look up, let's search blindly for a little while, and then I'll look up a seed. Because I'm thinking I'm going to look the seed up on that thing that shows you, like, the Minecraft maps. And then maybe I could find the bastion easier, because we traveled around for like an hour yesterday and couldn't find it. So, but outside of that, there's not really any news. There's nothing exciting going on. Yeah, nothing new. So I guess we'll just get started. So there's not much more I can say outside of that. Merle, hello, nice to see you. How are you? How's your day been? I hope you've been having an okay day. Oh, I know. My mouse started working again. The one I spilled coffee on. If you weren't here, I know Merle was, but for anybody who's like popping in on TikTok and stuff, and if you weren't here, I spilled coffee all over my mouse a couple of days ago, and it was not fun. Like, it was all over. It's like a quarter cup of coffee. I still have some, but it was a quarter of the mug still of coffee, and it spilled directly on my mouse, and then the scroll wheel stopped working completely. So I turned the mouse upside down to hope that any like drippings would come upwards instead of down towards the motherboard, and maybe that would help it. And it's just been sitting like that for the last day and a half, 2 days now. And right when I was going to start the stream, I was like, you know what, I'll see if it's working, and it's working. So the Rocket Burst Pro Air 2, I think is what it was. I don't know, the colors are really, it's written in white, but the sticker's in gray, so it's really hard to see for old people like me. But it turns out it's a pretty robust little mouse. I'm pretty impressed by it. I can't believe that it's still working after me having almost destroyed it. So that's the upside news that I have. So yeah, for those who haven't been around for these streams and don't really know what's been going on, I had this world for my private use. I was just playing it on my own. Minecraft is kind of my unwind game. It's the game that I play when I just want to shut my brain off and just play something, especially in VR. Sometimes for VR, I don't want to be, swinging my arms around or anything, but I want to have that immersion where I can look around the world and kind of feel like I'm involved. And Minecraft has a really nice balance of that, because the Windows Bedrock Edition comes with an Oculus support app, and you can play it in VR. And you can like aim your hand to what you want to craft and mine and stuff, but it's just pushing a button. You don't physically do it. So I like playing this in VR. So I was using this file for that, and then, stuff happened in my personal life, and I decided to take some time and just kind of play this, because it's a little bit less stressful, and just like I'm not in the perfect mindset to kind of deal with that kind of stuff right now. like with a more complex game. So I moved. I have a base that I was using privately, and then I moved here, and I've been slowly working on this base, you know, since I started streaming, and we've just been working away at stuff. Merle, I'm good. How are you? Hello, Hyper. How are you? How are things? So let's just get some farming out of the way real quick before we go off on our adventure. And we'll sorry cows. Sorry cows, I feel so bad. Good, I'm glad you're well. Things are good, nice, Hyper, nice. Oh crap, I didn't bring my hoe. Damn. No. So the one problem, whoa, I almost spilled my coffee again. The one problem I'm running into, and it has to do with my room setup, not with the mouse at all. It loses signal randomly because it gets interfered with, because like I've got my tablet here that uses Bluetooth. I've got my other mouse that's using a wireless signal as well. I've got my Xbox controller, which also uses Bluetooth. And so like it all interferes with the mouse. So the mouse has to be in like the perfect position for it to register properly. But you know, as you're swinging your arm around to play, you kind of lose parts of, hey, where did your, you were up here. The zombie was here. Dang, I thought he would have dropped his, the things that they use to grab animals. The leads. I thought he would have dropped his leads. Because he was just up here with his 2 llamas. I guess not. Now you play Farm Sim? How is Farm Sim? I've never played it. Hello, Tara. How are you? How are things? How is your fashion designer adventure going? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying your break from school. You've earned it. You've absolutely earned it. Are you holding the lead? Is that what's happened? Are you holding the lead? We went, hello, welcome. I'm good. How are you? Thank you. That's what I wanted. Okay, so first, let me go grab my hoe. That's so cool. I can't sew to save my life. I can't do any of that kind of stuff, but I did. Oh, I don't know where they are. I've misplaced them. I haven't even thought of them for a few days. I wear pressure, like compression gloves for my hands, but because they're tight and because I use my hands a lot, the seams start to tear apart because I buy cheap ones, right? Like I'm not gonna buy $50 compression gloves. I buy like the $10 ones for like 2 at Walmart or at on Amazon. Oh crap. Okay, we still have sound. Every time it does that, it randomly goes diddle-doom, and it scares me. Anyways, so I'm not the best sewer, but I have had to fix my own seams, and I feel so freaking proud when I do it and it holds. I can't even imagine designing like a whole jacket. It's awesome. That's cool, Houston. I've been playing a lot of Roller Coaster Tycoon, which obviously is not exactly the same, but it's the same kind of idea where like you're simulating running a business or like running a certain type of thing. So obviously Roller Coaster Tycoon, you're trying to just keep the business afloat. I might look into farming sims. I haven't tried them before. I've been trying to look for something else that's like Roller Coaster Tycoon. I play a lot on my tablet. I want to see if I find something like that on my tablet. I totally just slurped like a 6-year-old would. Because I'm an adult. What are you making, Tara? Oh, you're making her a dress. That's so cool. Okay, facial hair. Any people out there that want to grow facial hair, don't. It's a nightmare. I can't eat without getting stuff in it. Ugh. I need that the stash protector thing that was viral on TikTok for a while there. Brian, welcome back. How are you, man? How are things going? Oh, graduated from grade 6. My eldest just graduated high school. It really messes with your head when you get to that point and you start thinking about it. Like my eldest just graduated high school. It's not a fun feeling this old. It really isn't. Oh, adulting. Adulting. Ugh. I hate adulting. Okay, here they are. Ooh, is this a new song? I've never heard this song. I'm just struggling with it. I'm a messy eater, so like it's embarrassing for me because like I'll stop at McDonald's or whatever. That was what I was eating, by the way. When you had asked in the comments, I was just embarrassed to answer because like the guy was like obviously Gen Z cool guy and I'm like old guy millennial. I have to like try to be cool in front of the cool kids. But it was McDonald's. I went and stopped at McDonald's. But anyways, I get McDonald's on my way to work, but there are times that I'll eat something like a chicken burger and it has mayonnaise, and I'll eat it and whatever, and I get to work and then I'll run into somebody at work and I'll talk to them and stuff, and then I go into the bathroom and look and I've got like a big piece of like mayonnaise just stuck to my beard or mustache and I don't see it. Kind of embarrassing. I have to learn to eat with a mustache and beard. I'm still on the fence on whether I like it or not. I don't know because like it's patchy, right? Like I don't have much here. This is the one spot that it's really thin on both sides. It's thicker up here and it's way thick down here and even the chin, but like right here it isn't. So it doesn't look great. But there's a guy that I follow. He's this older guy who looks like he's maybe in his like late 60s. It's somewhere in his 60s. And he's got like this gloriously thick beard. And he just talks about like beard stuff. Like he'll give people advice and whatever. And one of the things that he was talking about is a lot of guys get to the point where I am right now, where it's patchy and it doesn't grow well, but they haven't given it a full chance to really, you know, get long enough to feel like it's thick. And then they shave it off and then they never get to see how it can look if they let it grow in. So I'm giving myself a chance to grow it in, but like, it's a nightmare. It's such a nightmare trying to get it to, you know, not get in food all the time. Ooh, yeah, they started announcing the spicy chicken burger here. I tried one. For a little while they did, like for a few weeks they did one type of spicy chicken burger, and then for a few weeks they did a different type of spicy chicken burger. And I tried the one that was kind of like in between. It was the spicy but not super spicy. And it wasn't spicy. So I was like, oh, it tasted good, but it wasn't spicy. I was really disappointed. My kids keep teasing me about being able to drive soon and graduating from high school and all that. Yeah, it messes with your head, Tara. It messes with your head. Like I said, that's where I am right now. Like I still think of my eldest as like a 12-year-old, but like she just graduated high school. She's an adult. Like she's not an adult yet. She'll be an adult in December, but like she's basically at that point where she starts to make the decisions for the rest of her life. It's a really, really surreal feeling, to say the least. Yeah. Making some coffee, nice. You love Farm Sim because farming is your job. Oh, my hat goes off to you. Farmers are obviously the backbone of pretty much everything. Since, you know, without farmers, we pretty much would all die. Except for those people that are like super into being self-sufficient. Or like the people that are part of like the veganism community that like to grow their own stuff. They'd be fine. They would all survive, all those people. I would die. I think the best I could do is maybe like hunt a mouse. That'd probably be the best I could do for survival. But yeah, no, I wouldn't want to do my job as a simulation on top of doing it as a job. Yeah, land and track. There's a whole bunch of like, depending on like where you are and how your specific government works, there's a lot of like incentives to do it, but obviously the downside is, you know, certain incentives require you to not be the owner of the land or anything. But still have to pay back all the money that you'd have to borrow to get everything. But it's kind of like one of those, because I knew a farm family. I used to take care of one of the guys, and they didn't own the land. They technically didn't own the farm, but they ran it. And so like the house that they had and everything, it was their house, but it was not on their land. So obviously if they lost the land, they would lose the house. But as long as they did their part of the deal, they had a gorgeous house. Like it was huge. And when their kids grew up, they built 2 houses on the same land, still on the same farm, but they were still like a 10-minute walk from each other. So it's not like they were breathing down each other's necks or anything. So it's definitely got its benefits if you work through incentives, but obviously there's drawbacks. Like I said, they don't own their own land. The farm isn't theirs, and they have to meet certain quotas to even stay there. But if you can do it, then it's not a bad deal. But I wouldn't want to be a farmer. No, thank you. I am too lazy for that. You have a small garden in your backyard? I've never been good at that stuff. I just stumbled on this guy's live. Very chill. Thank you. I can't read your name. Yeah, I can't make it out on my screen, but thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate the comment. Orcs of the world. Greetings. Name is Grimlock. Hello, Grimlock. How you doing? Welcome. How are things? Sims on Game Pass, but I'm excited for... I canceled my Game Pass a little bit ago. Budget got really tight, so I couldn't afford to keep my Game Pass, but I do miss it because it was really nice to be able to try a whole bunch of games without having to invest in them. Whereas like right now, if I want to try a game, I got to spend money on it. So I'm probably going to get my Game Pass back. I just haven't stabilized quite yet. But once I'm stabilized, I'm 100% going to get Game Pass again, because Game Pass, out of all the memberships, that was the one that really made sense for me. Okay, so I guess we'll keep looking for a bastion. I guess we'll just keep going. Okay, let's put this meat back because I don't want to lose everything. I've got my sword. I've got my shield. Oh, I'm so nervous. I don't like doing this because if I die, it's not a good thing. Orcs of the world, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Grimlock. Thank you so much. It's gonna be free? Okay, okay. I'm trying to think of what game that is. It's not coming to mind right now. Ah, fights to show your leadership skills. Great. Keep it up. Don't let any filthy hobbits get away either. Let me look, Weeman. Let me look. Specs, hello, nice to see you. You could not buy Game Pass. How come? Instagram. Ooh, that one actually has chilies in it. That okay, I don't think we have one like that. The top one, the spicy McChicken, is what we have. There's also a new spicy chicken, but it's like I don't know how the McChicken is there, because I know different countries make their McChicken differently, but here the McChicken is done very much like the way a chicken McNugget is done here, where it's like ground up chicken and then formed and breaded. But we also have one that's actually like a piece of chicken breast, and that one's supposed to be a new type that's spicy. I haven't tried it though. I want to try that one. I don't get McChicken very often, only because I don't let's head back, I'm going the wrong way. Only because I don't I prefer, whoa, I forgot that this is in, okay. Because I prefer like the chicken breast. I don't really like the whole ground up chicken thing. I don't mind it, but I'd rather have a chicken breast. And when McDonald's got rid of their crispy chicken, which was the chicken breast, I stopped really getting the chicken often. Oh, you're that kind of orc. I thought you were a Lord of the Rings orc. I'm sorry. I apologize for my faux pas. I don't partake too much in the Warhammer universe. I know more about the Lord of the Rings universe. That's why I automatically went to that assumption. Crap. Dead end. This isn't good. This isn't good. Oh, okay. That makes sense, Specs. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, if your parents can get you Game Pass, it's totally a great subscription system. It's probably the best one out of all of them out there. I've always been a PlayStation guy. You know, ever since the PlayStation 1, I loved Sony. And then when they did the having to pay for the membership, I wasn't happy about it, but I dealt with it. You know, it was whatever, I'll pay. But once Game Pass became a thing, it didn't make sense because, you know, I'm paying monthly, and yeah, sure, Sony would give us a free game every month, right? Which is like a permanent free game, which is awesome, but you still have to have the membership to play that free game. So it's not really a free game. If I have to keep the membership to play those games, I might as well pay for the Game Pass membership and have a whole library of games. And so I'm not just like constrained, because what if like 1 month I can't pay for Game Pass or for the PlayStation Plus? Where the heck is the exit? What if 1 month I can't pay for the... I'm scared I'm gonna destroy my own farm. Let's not do this. If I can't pay for the PlayStation Plus and there's a game that I really want, but I can't get it now because I can't pay for the PlayStation Plus, and then I go and pay for it, but now I no longer have access to that game because I missed the month that it was free. Whereas Game Pass, like if it's there, it's there. They might remove a game after a while, but at least you have multiple months to try the game that they're offering for free. So Game Pass to me is just a better choice. Sony has better selection in games, but for the $20-ish a month, it's a much better deal for me. Plus, you know, Game Pass, you get the PC coverage games, and you get oh, get out of here. And you get the online thing where you can like stream the games to your tablet or whatever. So like Game Pass is a better deal for me. But like I said, I haven't been able to afford it for a bit, so I just haven't done it. Okay, Specs, that makes sense. No, Houston, no. So this is, like I was saying, this is a game that I was playing privately. I actually came looking for this. If you look at my coordinates, you can see right there, actually, just the one number anyway. Oh no, wait, you're on TikTok. Never mind, that's for Twitch. But down there, you could kind of see it. I don't know if the words might be covering it. But it's 2,000 blocks away from where I spawned. I traveled for a really long time to get here, and then I made an ice highway, you know, the one they use with the boat. But it was really annoying that every time I was trying to do anything, I'd have to travel all the way out here just to be able to repair my stuff, and then travel all the way back to fix it. And I'm playing on Bedrock, so a regular mob spawner is not very efficient. And if I wanted to fix something, it could take me up to an hour to fix all my tools with the regular mob spawner. So I built this thing, and I had decided I was going to build a base closer to it. And I had built just basically the outline of my house. And then right around the time that I did it, like I did it for 1 day, and then the day that I did it, the next night my dad passed away. And so it was very much a thing that I was in the middle of doing, but I stopped playing video games. I stopped doing everything because I was in mourning, obviously. I still am, but basically what happened is after, you know, about a week and a half, I needed to get back to streaming because social media, the blessing and the curse is you have to stay active to stay relevant. If you stop being active, you completely fall off. So I had to come back, but I'm not in the right mindset to like concentrate on a game like Elden Ring. I got stuck on Elden Ring, and I was already kind of struggling with how stuck I was. So I didn't want to have to be frustrated at the game, especially during a time where I'm dealing with my dad's sudden death. And so I thought Minecraft is a really, really easy game to shut my brain off in. Not that Minecraft is easy, but it's easy to just play and not have to concentrate on anything. And like, even if I don't accomplish anything throughout the whole stream, I was still doing stuff the whole stream. So I decided to start building my whole fortress right by the Nether fortress. So it's not that I'm lucky. I was very, very, very unlucky. I just decided that I would uplift my whole life and bring it to this place, instead of having to travel every single time I wanted to fix anything. But now the problem is with the 1.2 update, I didn't change my stuff to netherite before it happened, and I didn't realize I was going to need a blueprint to upgrade to netherite. So now I'm looking for a bastion, but we spent an hour on Tuesday wandering around for my original portal and couldn't find anything. So I thought I would travel around by this portal, but I'm just like over lava. I can't even figure out where to go from here unless I have to go through the fortress, and I don't want to because I'm gonna die. It's crazy. What's my favorite color? I'm kind of torn. I like teal, but I've grown to really like the orangey yellow that I use on my channel. So I'm torn between the two. I've always liked yellow. My dream car was always a Porsche 911, but in the canary yellow color. Porsche 911. Pesto, hello. Thank you for the rest in peace. You've had it for 10 years? Yeah, I had it for a really long time, actually. I had it for a really, really long time. It's just budget got so tight in a very short amount of time. Basically, what the... Okay, I'm gonna fight through the nether fortress. I don't think there's anything else I can do. I made the really stupid mistake of buying a Kia Soul. And in the span of about 2 years, I put 100,000 kilometers on it, and so I had been, driving the car quite a bit, but right before it reached the 100,000 kilometer mark, the engine seized up on it, and it was a nightmare to get Kia to do anything about it. They were refusing to fix it. They were trying to blame me, saying I wasn't doing the maintenance, even though they had all the records. And they were trying to grasp onto one receipt that was missing because I got the oil change. Oh, crap. I got the oil change done at a friend's auto body shop, and I didn't have the receipt for it. And he wasn't around, so I couldn't get the receipt. But I had every other receipt for 100,000 kilometers worth. So like you're gonna tell me that I did every single piece of maintenance on time and then skipped one, and then the one that I skipped destroyed the car? That doesn't make sense. Like, what did they think I did? And is the car so delicate that by missing one oil change by a few months is gonna destroy the engine? Because I had a receipt from a few months later that I did it again, right before the car died. And so it was a huge nightmare. So I was forced to buy a car cash. And then about 3 months after buying the car, that one died. But it was a junker. I was expecting it to die. I just hoped it was going to last for a year, which it didn't do. Buckmain, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Why did I drive so much? I had to commute for work. I was driving about 400 kilometers a day. 300 kilometers a day. About 300 kilometers a day. Because from where I was to work was about 120 kilometers, and then I worked out in the community, so I would drive around all day. So that was easily another, I don't know, 50 kilometers that I would drive around the city. Hold on, I can't see it. We win. Thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. Thank you, we win. I appreciate that. Right, Tara? And they tried to pull that on me, and then what made it worse is, and I bashed them on TikTok, actually. It ended up getting, it didn't go viral, but it got a few views. And they actually contacted me to ask me how they could fix the problem when it was already too late. When it all happened, they were fighting with me because they, for those who don't know, Kia is actually in the middle of a huge class action lawsuit. I don't know if it's over now. It might be over now, but they're getting sued because their cars are being misrepresented. They tell you that you're supposed to get an oil change every 10,000 kilometers, and they don't tell you that it's burning oil. And that at the 10,000 kilometer mile mark, or 10,000 kilometer mile, at the 10,000 kilometer mark, there's a good chance that your vehicle has burned through all of its oil. And so if you don't do it at the 10,000 kilometer marker, or if you don't do it at the 6,000 kilometer marker, which is what is normally suggested, there's a chance you're going to be running your car with 0 oil. And so you're going to seize your engine. And when people brought it up to them, their response was, no, that's normal. For the car to burn a little bit of oil, it's normal. Except it wasn't just burning a little bit of oil, and a car that's only 2 years old shouldn't be burning any oil. It turns out that they manufactured the engine wrong, and it leaks oil into the engine as you're driving it, and then it eventually seizes up. The one Kia that I called had 25 cars getting their engines replaced. 25. And they only told me this because they wanted to give me the expectation of how long it was going to take to get my engine done, because they had 25 other cars to do before mine. And so they were fighting me to not have to do the oil change, or not have to do the engine change. Then they told me it was going to take a couple of weeks for them to even inspect the car to confirm that what I was saying was true and that it wasn't something I did to the car. And through all of this, they were not going to give me a loaner. They were not going to give me a rental. They weren't going to do anything for me. It was up to me to rent a car. And I had to pay to tow the car into their dealership, which is fine. I expected that, but like, you're not even going to give me a rental and you still want me to tow it there too. So I towed it there, and they took my car, and it was gone for almost a month. And I worked out in the community, and renting a car was going to cost me about $1,000 a month. I couldn't afford to rent a car, so I lost my job because of them. Because of Cardinal Kia in Niagara Falls. I am still completely bitter about it. They still call me now, reminding me that I need to get oil changes done on a car that I sold the day I got it back from them. I've cussed them out multiple times on the phone, and they still haven't removed me from their mailing list about calling me about the maintenance that I need to make sure I'm doing on my car that I don't own anymore, because I learned my lesson about owning a Kia. So don't ever shop at Cardinal Kia in Niagara Falls. Because I brought up the issues with the car before anything happened, and they told me I was crazy and didn't know how to drive my own car. Yeah, I'm bitter, I know. And so they took my car, and I lost my job. That's how I started working for my brother. And then when they saw the TikTok, they contacted me to ask me how they could make things better. At that point, I had already lost my job, and I had already sold the car. So how are you going to make things better when I already sold the car and lost my job? What are you going to do? Are you going to give me back the money I lost? Are you going to pay for the used car I bought? No, of course they weren't. Anyways, so I bought the used car. It died. So I decided that if I was going to have to spend money anyway, I might as well just get another much less used car. So I bought a 2019 Civic, with the whole mentality of Honda Civics run forever. And hopefully I won't have to run into a problem with owning a Honda Civic for a while. But because of all that, long story to tell, that's why I had to cut my Game Pass, because I needed to save money wherever I could, because I was forced to buy the car during like the peak of the used car sales shortage. You know how like there were no used cars on any lot anywhere in Canada and the United States? That's when I had to buy my car. So needless to say, I was forced to buy a car that would have been worth about $24,000. I ended up paying about $34,000 for it. So I'm kind of stuck. So I've had to cut Game Pass in order to be able to afford the car, which kind of sucks. Hey, The Dark, how you doing, man? How are you? Dang. Yeah, Toyotas are other ones. That's the other one I was looking at. I was in between a Toyota or a Honda. Those were like the two big ones. And I was leaning towards a Mazda because I had a Mazda. I had a Mazda 3. And it was a 2009. I think it was a 2009. No. Maybe it was a 2009. I think it was a 2009. It was a 2009 Mazda 3. It had 300,000 kilometers on it, and it still ran great. I only got rid of it because that's when Alana and I started to live together, and I wanted a little bit of a bigger car because Nora was about 4 or 5 at the time. And so she had like the full car seat, and we needed to buy groceries and stuff for a whole family. So we needed a bigger car than a Mazda 3. So that, and my credit had finally been fixed. So I was like, I'm going to get a bigger car. And I was looking at an SUV, but then I saw the Kia Soul and I was like, well, that's kind of like almost the size of an SUV without being an SUV. I regret that decision so bad. But yeah, I was looking at a Toyota or a Honda, potentially a Mazda, but Toyota and Honda was what I was looking at, and they actually had 2022 Toyota Corolla there. It was one of the hatchback Corollas, but it was the base model. Or they had the 2019 Civic, which was the EX, which is like the step down from the Touring, and the Touring is like the leather interior, all the fancy bells and whistles. And the one is 2019, the other one was 2022. Or 2021. It was a 2021. And I drove the Corolla, and I really liked it. But once I got into the Civic, and oh, I thought I fell into lava. Once I drove the Civic, and it had all the really nice bells and whistles and the features, and you know, it had the bigger display and the nicer sound system. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go with the Civic. And so I chose. Plus, the Civic was a nice, like, it was the, I think they call it cosmic blue. It's like a blue color, but it's almost black. And in the right light, it even looks gray. It's a really weird color. I saw that, and then the Corolla was a white, and I was like, I don't want to deal with a super dirty car all the time because I don't wash my car all the time. And so I went with the Civic, and I'm really happy with it. I love the Civic. But the Corolla was really nice. It was a really nice little sporty car. 95k miles, nice. I had an SI. Mine was a 2003 SI, and it was blue. But it was like a blue. Like it was, I've shown this before. It was almost this color of blue. Like it was a real blue Civic. Now, I bought it used. It was lowered, but not insane. Just like an inch. Like it wasn't bad, but it was enough that it looked more aggressive. It did have the cantered tires. So like they were, you know, is it cantered? Is that how it's said? I don't remember the word. But like they were slanted inwards. And it had the Euro lights, they were called, in the tail, where it was like the clear tail lights. It was a really, really nice little car. But due to the wheels being tilted and me never having owned a car like that, I was checking the tire wear, but I didn't look on the inside of the tire. And it was completely worn down, and during a snowstorm I hit a patch of ice and the car spun out and I totaled it, which was heartbreaking because I loved that thing. I friggin' loved that little car. And the only reason I didn't fix it is because to fix the damage that it had would have been about $4,000, and at that point, with the amount of kilometers the car had, there was no way I was going to be able to justify it, because I would probably get $500 for selling the car. So I couldn't justify it, so I just got rid of the car. I junked the whole thing. I loved it though. Hello, Nikki. Nice to see you. Has to be a Ford, according to your husband. Okay, so when I was selling cars, Fords really didn't hold on to their price. I'm just like wandering around in circles. And I made a huge mistake, and I've been wandering around without paying attention. I don't know where my base is. Crap. It's at almost 2,000, right? Let's just head this way, because then the base will be that way somewhere. From selling cars, Fords didn't really hold their price. Like, they lost value in Canada anyways. They lost value insanely quick. Like, it was really bad. And a lot of people complained about them being problematic. A lot of people that came and had a Ford didn't want another Ford. From the experiences that I saw. But I've owned 2 Ford Focuses, and I didn't really have any problems with them. They were fine. They weren't really a big deal. And the only reason I got rid of the first one was because I found another one that was really cheap, and it had half the kilometers on it. And it was a hatchback, and the one that I had before that was the full sedan, and I wanted a hatchback. And so I switched in order to have better kilometers, and I never had any problems. And the only reason I got rid of that one is because the Mazda 3 showed up, and I really liked the Mazda 3. And again, it was newer and it had less kilometers when I got it, so it was just an obvious purchase for me. But yeah, that being said, Ford is not even on my radar for a car to buy. Like, it's not even a car that I'd be like, yeah, I'd look at a Ford. Unless something happened to my Civic and there was a really cheap Ford to buy, probably wouldn't go for a Ford. A Toyota Yaris. Nice. Those ones go forever too. Yaris are nice little cute cars. Thanks, Wendell. Yeah, I've been in more accidents than I should have ever been in. And it's 100% due to the way I drove. Well, it's a bit more complex than that. I was definitely a very irresponsible driver. I was one of those people that if the kilometers said, you know, 100 on the highway, I was going like 120 because that's what 100 really means. And I was not very safe. I also had a lot of anger issues when it came to driving. I really hated when people were like douchey on the road, so I became more douchey on the road, which is not a good thing to do. But the funny thing is so that's to explain all the speeding tickets I got, because I got a lot of speeding tickets. But the car accidents, 100% my fault. 100%. There is nothing I could say that like they even had any responsibility for. Another one, 99.999% my fault. That one was a lady when she was getting to the intersection, the light was green, and it went yellow and she slammed on her brakes. Instead of just continuing, she slammed on her brakes. And the problem was, this is where it turns into 99%. Wow, that's really loud in my ears. Stop, video game, you're being really loud. Where it became 99% my fault is there had been a fire at my favorite restaurant, and that intersection was my favorite restaurant. And I looked over because the lights were on, and then she slammed on her brakes. So I looked over when the light was green, but the light went yellow and she slammed on her brakes, and then I hit her. So 99.999% my fault. She shouldn't have slammed on her brakes, but I should have been paying attention. But then the other two accidents were 100% not my fault. Legally, one was my fault. But it was one of those things where it was my fault because the law has to be black and white. Basically, there's a highway near where I used to work, and it's 3 whole lanes that do turns at like the advanced green or whatever. And so 3 lanes turn left, and I was on the furthest left lane, and I was making a left-hand turn, and there was a car in front of me. This guy pulled out of the gas station, which was on the corner as all the traffic was heading towards him. So he pulled out, the guy in front of me slammed on his brakes, and then I hit him. I could not stop in time. And the guy in front of me had no damage. My car was destroyed. But the guy who caused the accident didn't get touched. But he was the cause of all of it, because there were 3 of us that rear-ended the people in front of us because this guy cut into traffic. So legally, I was supposed to have enough space between me and the car in front of me. Except it happened so quick, and I was in the middle of a turn. And when you're in the middle of a turn, you're looking around to make sure nobody's crossing and, you know, that you're safe to make the turn. So when the guy slammed on his brake, by the time I saw it, it was too late for me to react. Had that other dude not cut into, you know, oncoming traffic and cut along 3 lanes of traffic, none of this would have happened. Oh, crap. But still, the other one was some guy that was parked on the side of the road, and he pulled out into oncoming traffic and smashed into me. And then I was held responsible because he brought his friend along to say he was a witness that I hit him, even though his front bumper was ripped off, but my whole passenger side was destroyed. My front bumper, my 2 doors, my 2 fenders, and my back bumper were all destroyed. Not destroyed, but like completely scratched up and dented. You know, like what would happen if somebody pulled out and I was going, right? His front bumper, my whole side, because I was in the process of moving along traffic and he pulled into our traffic lane. But because he brought a friend and I was the only witness for my side of the story, I got blamed. It really sucked. It really, really sucked. I was not happy about that. Nice, Eddie. Congratulations. Graduation. That is exciting. That is exciting. What did you graduate from? Like, what were you taking? You'll sell your car immediately? Yeah. I don't know where it is that you live, but I know a lot of places, it's not always an option to not have a car. Like where I am, I need a car. I live at the very edge of my city, and I work in the neighboring city. It's like a 20-minute drive from my house to my job. I'm so dead. So if I want to work, I have to walk for like 4 hours to get to work. But I used to live in Toronto, and there you could just walk or take the bus anywhere you needed to go, which was great. And yeah, if you can get rid of a car, get rid of the car. Not only is it like a better health experience, you know, walking around is good for you. It also gets you out and about, gets you the fresh air and all that stuff. And it's way less expensive, not paying for insurance, not paying for gas, parking, all that kind of stuff, maintenance. Medical assistant technician, nice. Nice, congratulations. Congratulations. Not a big fan of domestic brand cars. Yeah, I think a big part of the domestic, like for WeWin, is they're in Europe. And so Ford being an American brand is more of like an import. And I can't say that this is what they do, but it just feels like they give better quality products to Europe and to the Asian market, because obviously they're imports, so they have to work harder to kind of win their trust over the local stuff. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the local brands. There's just no cars. Like if you look at like a Ford, a GM, it doesn't really, they don't have the most stylish cars. They don't look really nice. Whereas I find like the Japanese style cars have a really nice aesthetic. I do prefer like the 2016 to 2019 Civic look versus the newest Civic. I think the newest Civic looks a lot like the Accord, which is still a nice car, but I just liked that older Civic style because it just had more of the edgy racer look, whereas like the newer Civics have more of like the business family car look, and I'm not a big fan of that look. Nice, Nikki. Are you planning anything for it? Yeah, Tara. Commuting through like a transit or through a walk is far less stressful. Like you catch your ride and you just like put your headphones on and you're good to go. Whereas like when you're driving, even if it's not a far drive, and this is something that like I was never able to get Alana to understand, is like driving is physically exhausting. Like I used to drive her and myself to work when I was commuting that really long distance. And it was almost an hour drive. And, you know, driving for an hour, you're literally just sitting there, right? But like, you're always alert to make sure you're not, you know, crashing, or that you're not causing any kind of damage to anybody around you, and that you're going the right way and all that stuff. It's exhausting. After an hour, you're drained. And in a commute, you just like put your headphones on, put your head down and close your eyes and you're good to go. It's definitely much less stressful. There are stresses, like if you get like the gross smelly person sitting next to you and they want to talk the whole time and you're just like, please leave me alone. Or you get like the person. Thank you. There's the alert. There's the alert. Do I know Envy? I don't. Who's Envy? Buckmane, thank you. Thank you. I try to run a channel that's very much just like chill out and talk, and not so much about the aggression of like competition or the over-the-top clown persona that some people put on. I'm not saying that they're clowns, but you know, the ones that are like, they're super like vibing. Yo, bros, what's going on? We're about to play some Minecraft. We're gonna try something crazy right now. I can't do that for forever. So I try to just make my stream more about like chilling out. A lot of people tend to tell me they put my stream on and they do a bunch of other stuff and just kind of listen to me talk. So that's kind of the vibe that I have on my channel. Oh, the dark, that's the worst. That's the worst. Brian, I appreciate that. That's really kind. That means a lot. It really means a lot when somebody says that they're looking forward to my streams, because it makes me feel like I'm actually achieving something instead of just sitting and playing video games the whole time. Uh-oh. Okay. Whew. Literally listening and cutting fabric, right? It's nice. That's what I do. I watch right now. I'm kind of on a kick of watching a lot of what would be called commentary channels, I guess. It's kind of like the T channels, but it's not really. If you don't watch YouTube, for anybody who doesn't watch YouTube, who's on Twitch or who's on TikTok and has no idea what I'm talking about, T channels are the channels that talk about gossip, but it's gossip like you would hear in high school while you're in lunch, right? Like Steve was wearing a shirt and it wasn't the right brand name. And like, can you believe he was out there looking like that? Like that kind of gossip, the really immature people who were in their 30s but still never left the 14-year-old them from high school behind, and they never got to be the cool kids, so now they're doing it on the internet because now they're cool. That's T. Like that's the T channels that you see on YouTube. You know, Shane Dawson and Nick Gacotto Avocado, those people. Commentary channels are similar, where they are gossiping about other channels, but what they're doing is in a much more analytical way, where they talk about channels more about like what they did wrong and how they could have avoided it, or why they ended up in the situation that they're in. So second-handedly, they are gossiping, but they're analyzing what happened. Like I just watched one recently about Pokimane and how she very quickly became disliked by a lot of people. And it had to do with like copyright striking people for using her footage in videos where they were like being clickbaity, or they were like hot montages of Pokimane and stuff, and she was copyright striking people. And then when people would kind of like confront her about it, she would get defensive, and even when she would admit that she had screwed up, it was always in the sense of like, I screwed up, but I was totally allowed to do that. I just shouldn't have. So it just kind of, it's a very weak apology. Anyways, that was what the video was about. And so like they're discussing like what she could have done better for her apology and how she could have approached it in a better way and stuff like that. So I've been watching a lot of channels like that. And it's for the same reason. I throw them on. I don't have to watch them because a lot of them are just like stock footage of random people, or just like clips of the person they're talking about that have zero context about the subject. You know, it'll just be clips of Pokimane streaming while they're talking about Pokimane, so you don't have to actually watch it, you just listen to it. And so I hope that that's kind of what my stream is like, where like you don't have to actually be watching what I'm doing in order to appreciate the stream. But every once in a while something silly happens where I die, or I, you know, get jump scared or whatever. Get out of here, dude. Get out of here, man. Buckmane, I'm a variety streamer, so I kind of play everything. Right now I've been doing a lot of Minecraft, only because I've been wanting to just do something that I don't have to concentrate on. Like I'm doing right now, where I genuinely don't know where I'm heading. But I also play horror stuff quite a bit, and I almost always have some kind of Soulsborne game on the go. So, you know, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne, all those games have been something that I've had on a consistent basis on the channel. I just haven't done it over the last couple of weeks just because I'm not in the right state of mind to concentrate on those games. I am getting to the point now where
You mentioned jump scares.
Holy crap. Oh, I wasn't waiting for that at all. Oh. Oh my god. Whew. Thank you, Buckman. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Oh my gosh. That was good. Oh my god. That was good. That was a good scare. Thank you, Buckman. I appreciate that. And for those who are wondering, that's a jump scare donation that I have. I do have one on TikTok, but because TikTok doesn't allow me to pick like a specific number because they use their own currency, it's a really random number. I want to say it's something like 5,000 gifts or whatever, which when I worked it out, it was like $7 or $8. It was like the closest I could get to the 666, because what I've done on Twitch and YouTube is I have a donation link, and if somebody donates $6.66, they trigger that jump scare. Oh, that got me good. That was a good one. Oh, I'm totally awake now. I should clip it. I'm gonna go back and try to find it. But yeah, Buckmane, that actually started because I used to always do scary stuff. I always did something horror based on the channel. I think it started specifically with Resident Evil 7. I bought the PlayStation VR 1 and Resident Evil 7 around the same time. And I started playing that in VR, and it was horrible. It was one of the scariest experiences I've ever had in my life. One of the best games I ever played in my life, and definitely one of the best VR games I ever played. But it was horrible because I was genuinely terrified the whole time. But I introduced the jump scare thing to those streams. I might have introduced it to a game before, but that was one of the earliest times that I had it. And it became an ongoing joke on the channel where, because I was in VR, and because there was such a huge delay between my stream and what I was seeing and donations and stuff, it became a really fun joke for everybody to jump scare me while I was in the middle of playing. And there were a couple of people, like how Tara is, that were very good at picking out times to when they should jump scare. And there were a couple of people that were ridiculously good at doing it, especially with Resident Evil 7. And there have been some golden moments. Like there was one moment where there's like a little mini jump scare where you walk in a room, you're talking to somebody, and then somebody appears behind them, and it's supposed to scare you, but it's not supposed to be like an ultimate scare. And that happened, and then somebody did a jump scare right as it happened. Like the timing couldn't have been any better, and it made the jump scare that much worse. So like it became a really fun thing on the channel. Now it's not as common anymore because I haven't done a lot of horror stuff, and even when I'm doing horror themed games, it's like Dead Island. It's not really jump scare worthy. I'm also not streaming very often, so it's not like I've really built up a huge... Nikki. Thank you, Nikki. Oh my god, as I'm sitting here saying it's not really something that happens very often, it happens twice within 20 minutes. Oh my god, that was good. That was good. Oh, that was a good one. That was a good one too. Yeah, it's because I'm talking about it. That's exactly it. There it is. I can't see the alert. Hold on, I can't see the alert. Buckmane, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's exactly because I'm talking about it. That's exactly it. Oh crap. I still don't see any bastions though. This isn't good. Are you asking if I played Resident Evil on the PS1, or because I said a whole lot before I looked at chat? What about PS1? But anyways, yeah, I used to do a lot more scary stuff on the channel, and so jump scares were really, really common on the channel. It was something that was just part of it. Like, it wasn't rare to have 2 or 3 jump scares every single stream. I just haven't done it much because I'm not streaming as often. Like, we don't see it as much because I'm not streaming as often. I'm not doing as many scary games as I used to, so it's not as popular as it was. Once I start streaming more often come summertime, where I will be streaming a lot more, I'll probably start getting a lot more jump scares coming by, because it's easier to kind of have a bunch of people come by when I stream for, 4 hours instead of just 2. No, the PlayStation VR 1, which is the one that came on the PS3 or PS4. It's the last VR head, the first VR head system that came out on the PlayStation. So they just released the PSVR 2 about what is it, like 3 months ago, 2 months ago they released the PSVR 2. About 3 or 4 months ago the PSVR 2 got released. Oh, here's that other portal. What portal is this? What portal is this? Hurry, let me in, let me in. I don't know where this is. Help me, help me. Oh no! I'm in so much trouble right now. But no, oh crap, they turned it off. I don't think I have... Can I turn it on when I'm on fire? No, I can't. Damn it. Damn it, stop it. Oh, I'm gonna die. Oh, I'm gonna die. Okay. But yeah, I played the PSVR 1 with Resident Evil 7, and it was awesome. It was great. Oh. Did you do that by accident, or did you do that like as an experiment to see what happens? Get the hell out of here, guys. Come on. What the hell? Oh, my mouse is freaking out. Okay, maybe my mouse did not survive as well as I thought it did. I don't think my mouse is doing as well as I thought it was doing. Okay. I don't think I have... Crap. Can I, like... How do these guys do it? These speedrunner guys, what do? They put, like... They do, like, a thing there, and there... And there. Will that light it on fire? Can you light on fire, please? Does that light? Yeah, there we go. There we go. Can you light it on fire, please? Light my other wood on fire. Yeah. This is gonna work. I don't know if it's gonna work. We'll see. I have a gold thingy. Whoa. Get out of here, you jerk. I kind of had the same thing happen to me. Okay, that didn't work. Ouch. I've seen this work before, so I'm trying it to see if I can get it to work, because the stupid gas ruined the portal. Hey, it turned off. What the heck? Come on, light up. Anyways, I had the same thing happen before. I plugged my camera into the wrong thing, and I fried my camera because of it. So I can feel your pain on that one. Can you, like, light up, please? It's not working. Damn it. I think maybe it was the lava that they did. I think they put lava, and that's what happened and lit this thing up. Crap. Well... Looks like we have no choice but to keep going. Yeah, the dark. Actually. I'm gonna die while doing this. Okay, that didn't work, obviously. Here it is. They talk about online how like every tech person has like that one drawer with 1 million cables in it. I've got like 7 of them. But you can buy one of these, which has the... It's hard for me to like... Hold on. You can buy one of these, which has the red, yellow, white, but on the other side, HDMI. So this can go out to your HDMI thing, your TV or whatever, and then this will be where the console plugs into. And that, I want to say it cost me like 10 bucks. Like, it's not expensive at all. I got it specifically because I was doing a lot of retro stuff for a while there on the channel. And I have a capture card that can do... It's not really that it can do retro stuff. It has... Oh, there we go. It has component cables, and I was using my Wii for my GameCube, and the Wii can do the component cables, and so I was using my component cables to go into the capture card so I could play it. But then I wanted to play my NES, and the NES doesn't have component cables, and so I got that thing, and it was like 10 bucks. What is better, Resident Evil 5 or 2? 2, 100%. 100,000% 2 is better than 5. 5 is considered one of the worst mainline Resident Evils ever. Only beat out by 6. But it's not the worst Resident Evil ever, because that goes to like Resident Evil Survivor. Like that's one of the worst Resident Evils ever. Maybe Operation Raccoon City is a very close second on that one. But yeah, Resident Evil 5, I don't think it's as bad as everybody says. I had fun with it. It's just not a good Resident Evil game. It's way too action-packed, not enough horror elements, and I just did not like the whole setting that they had. I'm just not a fan of the whole bug people thing. I prefer the zombies. I don't like bug people. That's just weird to me. But yeah, Resident Evil 2, hands down. I think Resident Evil 2 is the best Resident Evil out of all of them. I know 4 is the most popular one, but I think Resident Evil 2 is a far better game. But that is more my opinion, and I know that it's a skewed opinion because that's where I started as a zombie fan. You like the zombies better too? Yeah. Out of 5 and 6, okay, so I get a little bit torn because 5 is at least a very like it kind of sticks with itself. Like it has a story and it sees that story straight through, whereas 6 felt like a bunch of DLC. Like everyone had their own story, and every story, although they were kind of tied, it still felt, each game felt totally different than the last. So it didn't feel like a cohesive game. It felt like a bunch of DLC or a bunch of demos or a bunch of like short films of each character. But now it's been a while since I've played it, but if I remember correctly, I did like the Leon saga. It was a little bit darker than the rest of the game. It felt a little bit more horror inspired than the rest of the game did. So I did really like the Leon part of it. But I would probably say 5 more than 6. Like I liked 5 more than 6. Although I liked the Leon portion of 6 more than 5. But I haven't played it since it was launched, so I might be talking out of my ass right now. Oh, I have the other chat shut down. Sorry, I wasn't looking at restream chat. Where's my restream? There it is. I don't know. Oh yeah, what happened to my mouse? I had a big warm mug of coffee that I drank until there was about a quarter of my mug left of coffee. And then I put it right here, right where my microphone goes, so I can't see it. And I forgot about it. And I started streaming and everything was going great. And about an hour and a half into my stream, I was telling a story about how kids come up with their own theories as to what adult activities are. And I was telling a story about when we were kids, how we used to like tell each other what adults did on their private time. And I was talking about how like one of the stories we had is how like if you touch your 2 fingers together, that's like doing it. But as I went to go do it, I moved my hand and didn't see the mug, and I spilt the mug, and my mouse was like this, and so the mug went pew, right on the mouse, and coffee directly onto my mouse. Quarter mug. So my scroll wheel is now very sticky and gross. It's pretty gross. And my buttons, for some reason, will randomly stop responding. Not for some reason, for a very obvious reason. But initially, right after I spilled the coffee, it was not scroll wheeling at all. So I am surprised I'm getting this much use out of it. My favorite character is Claire. I think Claire is a badass. Followed very closely by Leon. I think Leon is also a great character, except for in Welcome Back to Raccoon City. I loved that movie. I hated the Leon that they made for that movie. The Claire was perfect. I've had a crush on Kaya Scaldelario or whatever her name is. I don't know how to say her name. I've had a crush on her ever since I saw her on my TV. So for her to be Claire was perfect, because Claire is my video game crush and has been ever since I was like 12. So she was the perfect fit for me. But the guy they picked as Leon, I liked the actor. I hated his rendition because he made Leon into a bumbling fool. And Leon has never been a bumbling fool. So I really hated it. Like, I really hated the bumbling fool they did in that movie. He did a good job at it. It's not a reference to his ability to act. It's a reference to the way that they chose that to be Leon. Leon's always been the snarky, smooth, one-liner superhero. Not the I didn't know that. What happened? Oh, that guy needs a breath mint. Like, it's just like, dude, you're not. No, that's not Leon, man. You ruined Leon. I don't know how to open this one up. I tried looking to see if I could find like any screws or anything, but I don't see any screws on this thing. There's two there, but I have to remove the silicone pads. I can, now that it's lit up, it was off when I was looking. There's two spots where it looks like there might be screws. I don't see anywhere else. Maybe this silicone pad comes off too. I'll try taking it apart, see if I can clean it. Because it is working, it's just sticky and gross. And we still haven't found a bastion. Yeah, the new Resident Evil movie. I liked it. I liked the new Resident Evil movie than all of the original ones. Mila Jovovich did a fine job in those movies. And the first movie at least was like a reimagining of the original story. So it was like, okay, I get it. You got to make it different because the game already told you what happens. But then they went totally crazy with like clones, and Claire wasn't Claire, and like none of them were who they were supposed to be. It was just really like, it was stupid. They ruined those movies. So when Return to Raccoon City was announced, and it had Claire and Leon, and they were going to be the stars of the movie, and it was actually a Resident Evil movie based on the game story, I was so hyped. I went to go see it with my brother. I walked out of there super hyped. I loved it. I do wish that they would have separated the two instead of doing both the story for the first and second in one movie. It felt like too much was happening. It would have been nice if they would have separated them a bit so it could have fleshed out the stories a bit more. I do like that they had key moments from the game in the movie, which was really, really cool to see. But I get why other people didn't like it. It didn't do very well, and I get why. Because unless you're an Ultra fan, it's kind of like the Super Mario thing. It's the reviews the Super Mario movie got, where everybody's like, oh, it's just fan service. All the reviewers were like all egotistical and like sniffing their own farts about it. Like they couldn't appreciate the movie because it wasn't in depth or whatever. That was what was wrong with Resident Evil. So I could see people not enjoying Resident Evil. Mario, on the other hand, it's a kids franchise. Of course kids only want, you know, platitudes and fan service, and the old people that are going to go watch Mario are all about the fan service. Resident Evil, on the other hand, is a horror movie. If you don't have an actual good story and just fan service, it's not really going to hit anybody except for the gamers, and horror is already a niche subject. So I get why people didn't like it, but as like a super fan of Resident Evil, 100% loved it. 100% loved that movie. Resident Evil 4 movie would be really cool. Apparently they were working on a sequel. I don't know if they're still doing it. Like there were plans for a sequel, and I want to say I remember hearing that there was like there was a whole thing like if the movie does well enough, they'll do a sequel. But I don't know what's been going on. They haven't talked about it, right? They won't talk about it until it's ready, if it's going to come out. Now, I like Resident Evil 4. I learned to like it a hell of a lot more. Ooh, that's scary. A hell of a lot more after playing it in VR. But I am of the very, very, very small minority that actually does not think Resident Evil 4 is such a great game. So many people think Resident Evil 4 is like the ultimate Resident Evil experience, that it's the best one. Like if you play any of them, that's the one you need to play. But to me, it's really not. Like, it's not even like in the top 3 of the Resident Evil games. I think it's a decent one, but it's actually the one that I think holds most blame for having wrecked the whole Resident Evil series. Get out of here, I'm gonna die. And not because the game itself is so bad that it wrecked the series, but because it was the one that shifted the series, and after that all the games sucked up until 7. Because they all went action-based rather than horror-based. Whereas like the charm in the first, second, and third games were the fact that it was a B horror movie. It wasn't an Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie. And 4 is where it started to lean towards the action movie genre, which totally wrecked the series. And then everybody thought it was like the laughingstock of survival horror until Resident Evil 7 came out. When Resident Evil 7 came out, it all of a sudden became a serious thing again. And now it's a respected franchise again. So I actually am of the very small minority that thinks Resident Evil 4 is the one that's to blame for having wrecked the series single-handedly. Yeah, and like it was one of those things where like it didn't do it full blown. Like I'm not saying that the game itself is a bad game. It's just it was what all AAA companies do, where they do one thing and people like it, so they go full bore into doing it because they think that that's all people want. Like Call of Duty. Call of Duty was a video game that was about sharing stories from World War II and giving you that experience in the game. It wasn't meant to be realistic, but it was meant to kind of give you that like glimpse into the window of what happened during World War II. And then Call of Duty Modern Warfare gave it like a modern spin. And so they've kind of buckled down on that. But where it really took control, where it's a really good example of what happened with Resident Evil 4, is when you look at the online features. Modern Warfare introduced online stuff. I don't know if it was 1 or 2. Introduced online stuff, and people really enjoyed it because it gives you a chance to keep playing the same game over and over again. And then what happened a few years later? They did an online-only version of the game. And nobody was happy with that because there were a lot of people that were like, I still want to have the one-player campaign because I'm not good enough to be online. And so a lot of people got really upset at the whole online only. You know, plus when it's online only, if the servers ever go down, you can no longer play the game, right? And at least if it's offline, you can at least have the single player that you can always go back and kind of reminisce on. And so like that's kind of what you could say the first Modern Warfare is to blame for having ended up where they are. Kind of the same thing with Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 on its own, not a bad game. But it's the one to blame for us ending up with Resident Evil 6 and Operation Raccoon City, where it's like Capcom saw that they went a bit more action and people loved it. Let's go full out action. It's like, no. People were really happy with like the mechanics of it and how much more immersive it was being over the shoulder and like having a bit more freedom. It wasn't so much the action sequences. And so for me, that's, although it's not a bad game, it's the one to blame for having gone down that whole path. And now in reverse, number 7 is the one to blame, quote unquote, for saving the whole franchise because Capcom was able to see that, no, we want more of the horror aspect because that's what we like, is the scary part of the zombies and monsters and all that. And once Resident Evil 7 came out, then Resident Evil 2 came out and it was more of the same. And then Resident Evil 3 went a bit more action and it was a lot more short term, but it was still more of the same and people enjoyed it, right? So that's the only thing with Resident Evil 4, is that I don't think it's the best game, and I definitely think it's to blame for where we ended up. Yours are under the pads too? Okay, wait, I'm gonna look. I'm gonna take it apart after the stream, see what happens. But yeah, I'm very glad with where Resident Evil has been going. I haven't played 4 yet, the remake of 4. From my understanding, it found the right balance of action and still continuing with the horror. So I'm really, really excited to play 4, the remake. What I was saying, where I learned to really like Resident Evil 4 was in VR. I played the Oculus version of it, and it was so good. Oh man, it made the game so much better. And I've heard the remake is really, 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 sorry. I have heartburn right now. I'm like burping up a storm. I've heard the remake of 4 is amazing. I just haven't played it because I don't have the money for it. And if I'm going to buy it, I'm planning to get the PSVR 2 when I have the money. And so my grandmother left me a small inheritance, and I'm just waiting for that to come through, and then I'm going to buy the PSVR 2 like a responsible adult would do. And then I'm going to buy Resident Evil 4 once the VR patch is released, because I don't want to expect anything. I don't want to know what's going to happen in the game. I want to be completely blind to... Are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? I traveled 2,000 blocks that way because that's where my portal was. Because I couldn't find the bastion. Or not the bastion, the fortress. And there's a fortress right here. There's probably another fortress even further along. But I was way down there when I did it, so it was very easy for me to miss, I guess. Damn. That's embarrassing. Responsible? What is that? I don't know, Ewan. I don't know. I've never met them. They sound like a jerk, though. But yeah, I don't want to know what's going to happen. I know what the story is, obviously, because I've beaten the original one multiple times. But I know that the remake has a bunch of different like tweaks and changes and stuff, and I don't want to see them until I see it in VR, because I want to have that moment when I'm fully immersed and be completely shocked by whatever I see. It's what happened with me with Resident Evil 7. I played Resident Evil 7 only in VR. I never played it without the VR. And I went back like a year later after I had beaten it in VR and everything to play it without the VR, because obviously with the PlayStation 4, the VR turned down the graphics quite a bit to make it run, right? Because the PSVR was very, very basic VR. It was not a very complicated system. So they turned down the graphics quite a bit. And so I wanted to try it without the VR to see what the game looked like properly. I played it for about an hour and I did not enjoy it at all, because I couldn't get behind the really, really unimmersive flat screen experience. I wanted the full VR experience again. And it wasn't scary for me. And Resident Evil 7 will always be a scary game to me because of that experience in VR. And so I want that to happen with Resident Evil 4. I want to play Resident Evil 4 in VR to get the most fearful experience I could possibly have. No, not this way. There are so many bad guys. Oh, God. The dark, I know you're feeling. I know you're feeling. Wait till you start having adult money, and when your life is finally like settled, because it's kind of where I am right now. You know, my life is somewhat settled. Like I don't own my own house or anything like that. Like I'm not rich by any means. I don't have like a super fancy job or anything. But I'm at the point now where I'm not just earning minimum wage. And so like I'm able to buy stupid things, and it's really cool. Right at this very second, I'm broke AF, but like I'm still able to buy really dumb stuff, which is like a really cool experience. And because I wasn't able to my whole life because I was so poor growing up, uh-oh. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Oh God, retreat, retreat. But yeah, because I was so poor when I was growing up, I very much now am taking advantage of spending money on stupid stuff because I didn't get to as a kid, right? And so now that I have that money to spend, I'm gonna spend it on stupid things when I have a chance. which is like why I want the PSVR 2. Just a fun toy that is completely useless. I've got the Quest 2 and I want the PSVR 2. Even though most of the games on the PSVR 2 are available on the Quest, I still want the PSVR 2. Isaiah, this is the Rode Pod mic. I'm guessing you're asking because you are a streamer or are thinking of being some sort of content creator? Uh-oh. Oh. It's always scary when that happens. Yeah, we win. I'm kind of like, that's kind of where I am is, you know, I'm not rich. I don't make a ton of money. Let me address you in just a second, Isaiah. I don't have a lot of money. So like when I do buy stupid stuff, yeah, I feel the same way where I'm like, should I buy it? Cause like if I've only got $100 to spare, do I want to waste my $100 on this thing or should I waste my $100 on that thing? I'm also I still am very cheap. And so like I end up shooting myself in the foot. It's what happened with my iPad or my MacBook. I bought the MacBook Air. Fantastic content creation laptop, by the way, if anybody is thinking. It's the M1 MacBook Air. But I bought the base model with the 8 gigabytes of RAM and the 256 gig hard drive. And now that I'm creating as much content as I am, I'm regretting not having got the upgraded version or getting a MacBook Pro. Because the RAM, although it is enough to do most stuff, all of my videos are in 4K and 8 gigs, it starts to slow down once I start, you know, doing a longer video and I have a whole bunch of clips and a whole bunch of images and stuff. It starts to stagger a little bit and it's hard for me to be able to edit in the fastest pace possible. So I regret not buying the more expensive one, but because I'm cheap, I sit there going, well, if I spend that extra money, do I really need to spend the extra, you know, $300 on this upgrade? Or I could just save the $300. And then I save the $300. But then like 3 months down the line, I'm like, I should have spent the extra $300 because now I'm going to sell this at a $300 loss and then buy the $300 upgrade. So now I spent $600 that I could have just spent $300 instead. So I kick myself because I'm always cheap like that. Okay, so Isaiah, this is a very, very popular microphone. It's a very, very good microphone. There are the two variants. There's the pod mic, and then there's the Procaster, I think is what the other one's called, which is also by Rode, but that one is like their professional level one. Like this is in the States, it's $100, and their Procaster I think is $500. I'm in Canada, so this was $130 here, and I think the Procaster is like $700 here, something like that. This is a very, very good mic. You can hear what it sounds like, but a big, big part of the way that it sounds is not actually the microphone. It's actually how I have it set up. So part of it is, man, that song is so loud. It's so loud. I get it. It's dramatic down here, Minecraft. You don't have to remind us. It's so loud. I turned it down earlier, but I think my Go XLR reset, so it turned it back up. You're in Canada too? Okay. So it's $130, something like that. 120, 130. You can find it on sale for like $100 once in a while. But what I will say is a big, big part of it is my settings. I have filters on this thing. Now I am using the Go XLR Mini, which is very much so responsible for the filters. The Go XLR Mini, the big benefit to it versus something like the Elgato Wave stuff is the Wave stuff is all software based. The Go XLR Mini is hardware based. So it has the amplifier and everything all built in through hardware. Whereas the Wavecast or whatever it's called, the software that Elgato provides is all software based. So it's never going to be as high fidelity as the Go XLR is. But if you're talking about live streams, high fidelity doesn't really matter. High fidelity is really good if you're recording music because you want the highest possible, or if you're doing professional voiceovers, because you want the highest possible quality for whatever recording you're doing. But for a live stream, we just heard Minecraft screaming in our ears. My voice quality is not really going to shine when you have Minecraft going crazy. So the Go XLR is a bit of overkill. I personally would probably suggest going with the Wave mic if you're looking for an upgrade, to go from the Snowball to probably go with the Wave mic and get yourself the software that it has, because it does everything the Go XLR does. It is only software based, but with it being software based, you can do a lot more with it. Whereas the Go XLR is kind of limited because it's hardware based. There are certain things you just cannot do in the Go XLR that you can do with the Wave mic. And you could pretty much use the Wave mic for any sound input, versus the Go XLR only works on whatever you put into the Go XLR. I'll explain to you how my setup is, which is like insanely complicated. Plus with the Wave mic, it's a USB microphone, so you don't have a whole bunch of wires all over your desk, which I do have. The Wave mic does have very, very nice quality. The only positive this has versus the Wave mic is the Wave mic is what's called a condenser microphone, which is what you have with the Snowball. Condenser microphones are really great at picking up all the frequencies of voices, which makes the voice sound more natural. It has a much more pleasing sound overall, but it's also much more sensitive, so it'll pick up a lot more room noise. It'll pick up a lot more like of the reverb that you get from your voice bouncing off walls and stuff. If you live in, like if you're younger and you live with your parents and then they're out there, you know, using the blender, your microphone's going to pick it up really easily. If you live on your own and you have kids, the kids running around, it's going to pick it up really easily. Whereas this is a dynamic microphone. The dynamic microphone is a lot less sensitive, so the voice isn't as clear sounding, but it's very, very targeted. It relies on my own volume to send the signal, whereas a condenser microphone uses electricity to pick up the signals, so it's a lot more sensitive. So the beauty of this is if I start talking and I turn it away, now all of a sudden sound is almost useless. So when I did that, you could almost not hear my voice. Beauty is it doesn't pick up as much of the reverb noise. If somebody's in the room right on the other side of the wall making noise, it doesn't pick it up as easily. So like you have better noise isolation versus a condenser. That would be like the only major benefit to this. I would suggest the Elgato Soundwave setup, if anything. Price wise, I want to say it's slightly cheaper than going with this and a Go XLR Mini, but you could still pretty much have all the same stuff as the Go XLR Mini. And still have quality that is quite good. That being all said, you're fine with the Snowball. Honestly, I started with a Snowball. I still have it in one of my boxes somewhere. I started with the Snowball. I only upgraded because at the time I was with my band and I needed to record music and stuff, and I wanted something that was a bit more usable for the band. And so I wanted to go with like a proper mixer setup. But yeah, the Snowball is a really, really good microphone if you put in the right filters. You want to have something like a noise gate, which is what stops noise from coming in if it's not loud enough, which I have on this. You want an equalizer to kind of boost a little bit of the bass sound and lower a little bit of the high-end sound or whatever. You're going to want, sometimes you could use a noise canceller, which is something that gets rid of certain frequencies. So if you have like in my room in particular, I have a weird buzzing that comes through once in a while when I use the wrong colors on the lights back there. A noise canceller will kind of get rid of that buzzing sound a little bit, but it introduces a little bit of like a robotic sound to your voice if it's done too strongly. And then the positioning of the blue Snowball. If you get like a pop filter like this, which stops the P's and B's and S sounds from like distorting the microphone, and then you get the microphone fairly close and turn down the volume so you don't distort, you can make that blue Snowball sound fantastic. It requires a little bit of work. The only drawback, and one of the main, like outside of the band thing, one of the main reasons I went with like a whole Go XLR setup is because I was a professional singer. I'm used to hearing myself in my headphones or on my microphone, and I couldn't do that with the blue Snowball. I'd put my microphone on and I'd be yelling because I'm trying to hear myself over the game. The Go XLR allows me to hear myself directly coming from the Go XLR, so there's no delay, but I hear my voice the whole time. So I can whisper and talk quietly without worrying about, you know, having to yell the whole time. But that's not something that most streamers use because most streamers aren't professional sound techs or were never professional singers or speakers, so they're not used to hearing their own voice. Although it's a very, very important skill set to have. Oh, thank you, cream cheese. Thank you. What kind of cream cheese? What kind of cream cheese are we talking about? How much are the Go XLR minis? I want to say I paid like $350, something like that. Again, I'm in Canada. Let me look real quick. And I'll give you a bit of a breakdown. You'll see your head will start spinning immediately when I start explaining how my setup is. It's gone up in price. Yeah, I want to say I paid 350 plus tax is what I paid. I just looked on Amazon Canada and it's $444 right now, and it's out of stock. I don't think Go XLR is really providing it as easily anymore, because I'm seeing another one here for $555, but none of them are from TC Helicon. They're all from other resellers. So it seems like it's not super easy to get a hold of anymore. Dill pickle. Ooh, sounds tangy. So my setup, just so you can see how complicated it gets when you're using the Go XLR and how frustrating it is to use the Go XLR. Where's my restream chat? You began Tears of the Kingdom again? Holy crap. The music's so important. I mean, the information's so important. I got the dramatic music. I wish I would have seen that earlier. That's perfect, Merle. That's perfect. Yeah, so I paid like $350 for my Go XLR Mini. So now this is where the Wave mic has the Go XLR like completely beat in almost every way. To get the sound setup I have a 2 PC setup. So my one PC is what I'm playing Minecraft on. My other PC has all of my stream stuff. One of the problems I run into, I do the jump scares, right? And so I want my alerts to be really loud in my ears, but I also don't want the alerts to be really loud for everybody else. And there's no real way to do that that's efficient with the Go XLR Mini. The Go XLR Mini allows you to choose certain channels, and there are 2 channels that you can assign to something digital on the computer. So there's a music channel and there's a game channel. The game channel is meant to be for whatever game you're playing, so you can control the volume of the game on the Go XLR. You can change that in your computer to have like your alerts go through that channel, but that still means that whatever volume you set on the Go XLR, your audience and yourself are going to hear it, so you can't divide them. You can use like a monitor setup on OBS, and you can have 2 separate volumes that way, but because I have a 2 PC setup and my capture card only works through the monitor setting on OBS, if I set it up that way, whatever volume my game plays at is the volume my alerts are at. And sometimes my gameplay is too loud, like it just was with Minecraft. So I like to have my headset turned down a little bit, but I don't want my alerts turned down. Go XLR allows you to turn down your headphones, but it turns everything down on your headphones. So it's really hard when I turn down my headphones because my head is hurting from how loud the game is, and then a jump scare comes through and it's super quiet and it's not scary. Kind of defeats the purpose. So I want my gameplay to have its own volume, my alerts to have its own volume, my headphones to have its own volume, and the audience to have a totally separate set of volumes. You cannot do that on the Go XLR, especially with a 2 PC setup. The only way I could do it, now this is where it gets complicated, get ready for your head to spin a little bit. I'm using the, what's it called? Voice Meter Banana, which is an app that's free, which allows you to divide audio and send it to different channels. I have my streaming PC. Its sound from my streaming PC is going out my optical output. So it's sending digital sound out, not using my Go XLR, just from the PC, straight to my Go XLR, into my console input, which is what you're supposed to use for a console to have digital sound coming into the Go XLR. I have it going from my PC into the Go XLR through the optical out. From my Go XLR, I have a line out, which is meant to go to like your speakers. It is for the 2 PC setup. So I have it going from my line out into my gaming PC. So my stream PC, optical into Go XLR. From Go XLR, line out to my gaming PC. Then I have my audio from my gaming PC being split up by Voice Meter Banana, and it's sending one line of audio through the line out on my gaming PC and one line of audio through my capture card on my gaming PC. And those are now coming into my Go XLR again. And so now the audio that comes from my streaming PC is going through the Go XLR into my gaming PC back into the Go XLR, which now has split up the sound. So I can now have one set of sound volume that's directed to you all, one set of sound volume that's directed to me, and through Voice Meter Banana, I'm able to split up on my streaming PC to have the alerts go to my gaming PC and have the alerts separately go into my headphones. So my alerts can stay at full volume at all times only to me, while I still have control of your volume so that it's not too loud for you, and still have control of my volume so the gameplay is not too loud for me. All because the Go XLR does not allow me to select multiple channels for different sounds. The Wave mic, on the other hand, has software that can do all of that without having to have 5 million ins and outs and having different apps to control the different volumes. And so where the headache lies for me is sometimes Voice Meter Banana crashes on one PC and it freezes the audio on both PCs. And then I have to figure out which one is frozen and which one I need to restart and which one I need to try to like reset the audio on. And sometimes it'll freeze in a way where it's frozen to you guys, but it's not frozen to me. So I can't tell it's frozen. I still hear everything. Everything's great. But it's frozen to you guys, and you can all tell that there's no sound, but I have no idea until I look at the meters and I realize that they're not moving. It's a nightmare. So the Go XLR is a little bit complex. Now, mind you, mine's a very, very unique case. Not everybody wants their alerts at a very specific volume. But the Go XLR is very limiting that way. It's very, very limiting that way. It's a lot to have to work out. It took me about 6 hours to figure that all out. Moa, hello, nice to see you. Mike is bad, hello. How are things going? But yeah, so that's why I love my Go XLR Mini. It is dying. I need to buy a new audio setup. But because I already have this expensive microphone, I'm probably not going to go with the Wave mic. Unless I go with the Wave XLR thing that they sell now. But my Go XLR is starting to die, so... I think it's because I took it down, Kitsune. Not took it down, but like I switched it. My link is from my dad's GoFundMe, which I need to actually update. But the link tree I have is not a clickable thing. But if you just if you're looking for like Twitch or YouTube, just type in retro for the first time on Twitch or YouTube, and it's the exact same name, and I should pop up. Ooh, what are you having for lunch, Moa? Oh, whoops. I saw Mike. Sorry, milk is bad. I totally misread that. I'm sorry. My apologies. My apologies. Okay, we gotta keep going this way. I don't want to fall and die, but whatever. Geronimo! Okay, cool. I knew I had feather falling. I wasn't sure if that was a high enough fall to kill me. Oh, I'm embarrassed. I misread that. It wasn't even kind of misread. Yeah, Kitsune, I'm sorry. I have a GoFundMe for my dad's funeral, which I still haven't taken down, mainly because Primerica still hasn't paid out yet. They've told us that rest assured, everything is done. They sent it to the claims department. We just have to wait for them to process it. So I haven't taken it down because I won't hold a corporation to very high esteem once they've already kind of showed that they're willing to just betray their word at the drop of a hat. So I'm not taking them at their word. I am waiting for the money to be in our hands before I actually take the GoFundMe down. So that's why the link is still there, and that's why I still have it as clickable, because I may end up actually needing the money in the long run. If I don't end up needing the money, then I'm going to try to refund it, or I'm going to donate it. I'm probably going to try to refund it, though, because I think I can. And it would just be easier to refund it than to have to donate it and then always have kind of the, you know, the skeptics sitting there going, well, did you ever donate it? And where's the proof that you donated it? And blah, blah, blah. I'm not the best file keeper. I'll probably end up losing the proof, and then eventually I'll get called out and somebody will say that I stole the money when I didn't. So I'd rather just refund it. But yeah, that's why the link isn't available. Homemade burgers. Ooh. That sounds really yummy, Moa. That sounds really yummy. I had not homemade burgers. They were frozen burgers, but I made them at home. And I haven't had even that in a while. I've been eating basically like McDonald's and stuff. Not good for my stomach. But it was really nice to have burgers that were not McDonald's, I gotta say. But those sound really yummy. Okay, we have traveled almost 2,000 blocks worth, and we haven't seen a single bastion. Wait, is this bastion? This is bastion. Yes. Okay, time to prove what we're made of. Actually, I want to keep that. I don't want this. 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 I'm gonna keep some netherrack just so I can like make sure that I have some bricks to build with if I get surrounded and they try to kill me. Because there's those guys with the crossbows that really like to kill you. And the pigs. And the pigs. Ouch. I don't know yours truly. I don't know. I'm playing on Bedrock and I have no idea how to check how long my world's been around. Ooh, let's not open this while you're watching. Excuse me, I need to use the bathroom. Don't watch, please. I need some privacy while I use the bathroom. It's really creepy that you want to watch me, so I'm closing this off. Thank you very much, Mr. Pig. Nobody can see me. We're good. Open. That's it. Is this my old pickaxe? I think that's my old pickaxe. Have I been to this stupid bastion already? I think I've been to this. I think this is the bastion where I died a whole bunch. I think this is the bastion that I was talking about. That is useless because I probably already spawned everything. And it probably won't give me the blueprint thing that I'm looking for. There's another one over there. Let's go check. Uh-oh. Bye. But yeah, yours truly. I'm not sure how long I've been here. It's been a while though. This world I've had for quite a while. Because I used to play it on my private file. Uh-oh, they're all gonna get mad, aren't they? They're all gonna get mad, aren't they? I knew it. Whew. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me again. McDonald's has gotten really expensive here too. Like I used to be able to get like McDouble meal for like $5, maybe $6 with the taxes included and stuff. It was like $5.45 or something. Now it's like $8 with everything included for the McDouble. My problem is that I work night shift, and the cities that I work in, nothing is open at night. And because of where I work, there's like no microwave or anything I can use to heat up my food. And Crimson Wolfclaw, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate that. Welcome to the Retro Squad. Welcome to the family. And so I can't bring lunch. Like I don't want a sandwich while I'm working. I want real food. And so I always end up getting McDonald's because it's the only thing that's open 24 hours a day. Like I live in a tourist city, and even Taco Bell isn't open 24 hours. And I remember Taco Bell being a 24-hour place, and it's not a 24-hour place here. Burger King's not a 24-hour place. Wendy's isn't a 24-hour place. Just McDonald's. Just McDonald's. Even the Tim Hortons. We're Canadian, and the Tim Hortons aren't 24 hours here. So my choices are quite limited. So it's McDonald's or nothing. And at like the 2 o'clock in the morning mark, when I'm about halfway through my day, I'm exhausted and I'm hungry. I want to eat. So I just eat McDonald's and it really sucks. Stop it, dude. I don't want to fight you guys. I just want to fight these losers. Yeah, the McDouble meal is awesome. It's great. It's so friggin' good. I love it. There are so many of these guys, these brutes or whatever they're called. Look at them. They just keep coming. Are they just spawning over and over again? Is that what's happening? We ride camels and live in pyramids while eating Big Macs. Don't get sand in your pyramid. I mean, don't get sand in your Big Mac. That wouldn't be too good. It's bad for your teeth. Your sandwich is real. Sandwiches are processed too, though. Sandwich meat is literally processed. All that processed means is that it was put through a certain process to be made a certain way. But like sandwich meat is 100% processed. Technically, even like chicken breast and stuff is processed because it gets cut up and stuff, right? Like it's processed. It's just the hippie, everything is a toxin movement has co-opted the word processed and turned it into something that it's not. They misunderstood what the word processed means and they turned it into something scary. It's like the whole idea of like your food is full of chemicals. All food is chemicals. Literally, all of it is chemicals. Or like the GMOs are bad. Broccoli, one of the super veggies, is a GMO. So it being processed isn't a bad thing. What is bad about things like McDonald's is that it's completely infused with salt. And salt is horrendous for you. And that's what makes McDonald's so bad, is that it's so full of salt. Because salt is really the only thing that adds flavor to food. You know, you could put a whole bunch of like garlic and onions and stuff in your food, but if it has zero salt, it'll taste like garbage. I make a lot of chicken soup. And let me tell you, it tastes horrible despite having all the veggies and everything is fresh and everything, you know, has been simmering for hours. It tastes like garbage if I don't put any salt in it. And McDonald's knows this. So McDonald's puts an excess of salt in everything to make that flavor for otherwise pretty bland meat. So processed is just a word that people use to make something sound scary just because they don't want you to eat that. Because here's a real easy tell for those people. All of them who tell you that processed foods are bad, that chemicals are bad, that you need to detox, guarantee you all of them have a link in their bio for the vitamins and supplements that they sell. All of them do. Because they don't actually know what they're talking about. They're just trying to make money. Simple as that. Pizza, and Taco Bell. See, if they were open till about 2 a.m., I would totally be getting Taco Bell. I want Taco Bell all the time. But Taco Bell here closes. It closes at like 11:30. I don't get to friggin' eat Taco Bell in the middle of the night. It really sucks. Like, that's like the one thing. You go to Taco Bell in the middle of the night. And I'm in a, like I said, I'm in a tourist city. So just imagine, what is the most ideal thing to have when you're super drunk? You go and get Taco Bell. And then it's not open. It's stupid. It's so stupid. Yeah, Pizza Hut is pretty greasy. I couldn't really tell you why, because there are some pizza places that have super greasy pizza, and there's some places that don't. I know part of it is the cheese. Like, cheese can be really greasy, so it could be the type of cheese they're using. But here, Pizza Hut, I don't know where you are, but here, especially like in my region of Canada, Pizza Hut isn't very popular. And so there's almost no Pizza Huts around anymore. So the Pizza Huts that are around, their pizza's actually really good, but it's also stupid expensive. Like, I can get my local pizza place, which is like a 2-minute drive from me. I can get an extra large pizza with a pound of wings, 2 dipping sauces, a thing of garlic bread with cheese, and 2 drinks. And I pay $34 all in. Pizza Hut, if I want to get the same meal, I'm going to be paying like $50. But the Pizza Hut pizza is way better than the local one. The local one is still a much better choice because, like, 1, it's cheaper, and 2, it's still very good pizza. But Pizza Hut now, because it's so unpopular, it's become more of like a higher end pizza in my region. you get that more as a fancy pizza now. It's not like plain pizza. And now it's not restaurant quality pizza. It's fancy fast food pizza. It's kind of like comparing the McChicken to the crispy chicken from Wendy's. The Wendy's chicken is much better, but it's also way more expensive. Or like in Canada, A&W versus McDonald's. A&W gives you a really nice beef patty. McDonald's gives you that little dish. But yeah, it's all processed food. It's all processed stuff. It's all relatively unhealthy. You know, if you were to eat the same thing every day, all day, yeah, McDonald's wouldn't be good for you. Having McDonald's once in a while isn't going to hurt you. It's not unhealthy. It's all about moderation, right? Like you can literally drink too much water and it'll be unhealthy. You require a lot of water to get to the unhealthy part versus like drinking a few cups of coffee and that'll be unhealthy long before the water would be. It's all about, relevance on what you're doing. Again, everything is processed. Like all food is processed in one way or another. It's just companies that are more health oriented, trying to sell to health people, will use the word processed as a way to demonize other companies. It's kind of the same that happens in the opposite way as well. Like A&W here in Canada is a very different company than what it is in the States. And one of the big things they use here in Canada is all of it is grass-fed beef. Except in Canada, all beef has to be grass-fed. So they're not lying because it's grass-fed beef, but so is the McDonald's beef that comes from Canada because that's also grass-fed. But they're using it as a way to be like, haha, we're grass-fed, even though everybody else is, but they're making it seem like nobody else is. Just like saying, McDonald's is processed, well, so is, cold cuts. And the difference is that the beef that you get at McDonald's is a lot thicker than like a slice of ham. But if you really like break it down, ham is just as unhealthy, and it could be even more unhealthy than the same amount of beef from McDonald's, because the processed ham needs salts and certain acids and everything to process it that way so you can eat it to cure it. And in that process also becomes unhealthy. So it's all about relative consumption, right? Like when you eat a sandwich, you're not going to have as much ham as what you would have in a beef sandwich, like in a burger. But most people will put a lot more ham in their sandwich to make a nice big thick sandwich, and now it's way less healthy than the burger was because of that. Difference being is when you have a sandwich, you usually will have like a salad, or you'll have like apples or something on the side of it. Whereas McDonald's, you're going to have fries. So yeah, McDonald's then turns less healthy because you're having fries. So it all depends on what you're doing and how you're doing it and how often you're doing it. Like it's really, really relative. Like there's this big movement on TikTok. This really bothers me. I studied healthcare. This is why I'm knowledgeable in all this. I was in school to be a nurse. I don't even know who that was. We win. Jeez. Whew, that scared me. Oh, man. Exactly, Brixton. Exactly. Since nobody else advertises that way, A&W does. And A&W now sounds like they're doing something that nobody else is, but they're all doing it, right? It's all about marketing. I was talking about this a few days ago, actually, that McDonald's coffee, the little pods for Keurigs, the advertising they use on it is ethically sourced. Brixton, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate that. Is ethically sourced. And that's not something to be proud of, because ethically sourced just means that they didn't burn down a forest to get the beans, or that they didn't use, slave wage labor or child labor to do it. That's not something to be proud of. Look at that. We were less corrupt than the other people. That's like if I walked into a room and said, hey, I didn't murder anybody. Good for you. You did the bare minimum, right? That's what McDonald's is doing to try to make themselves seem like a good company. And it's like, no, you're just no longer doing something unethical. Like that's all you're doing. You shouldn't be praised for that, but they use it as a big selling platform, and people will take that as a bonus when it shouldn't be. That should just be the bare minimum. So it's kind of the same thing with like the whole processed thing, right? Should we be eating like a chicken that we literally just had plucked and cut up? Sure, it's way healthier than having a chicken that's been put through a machine and, been tenderized and all that kind of stuff, plumped with vitamins and water to make it heavier. But because it went through that, does it necessarily mean that it's that bad for you health-wise? No. But it's very easy to make people think it's scary by saying it's been processed, because most people aren't really going to understand what I was getting at with the TikTok thing. A big craze that's happening on TikTok right now is you have all these uneducated fools who have a little bit of education in something like chiropractic measures or whatever, talking about glucose and insulin, and they're talking about how, like, oh, look how my blood sugar spiked when I ate this thing. Yet none of them have the most basic comprehension on that's what your body does. The glucose measures how much sugar is floating around in your blood. Your body has a pancreas which releases insulin, which is what triggers your blood cells to eat that sugar so you can have energy. So you're gonna have a spike immediately after eating, and depending on what you eat, the spike will be bigger. But that doesn't dictate anything, because your pancreas will take care of it. Where the problem lies is if your pancreas doesn't work, that's when you're diabetic. That's where the problem lies. But having sugar in your blood doesn't mean anything, because everything turns into sugar. And it's all about relevancy, right? Like if you eat a bowl of spaghetti, you'll have a set amount of carbs, which is pretty much sugar, put into your blood. If you eat the same weight in steak, you're going to have a different level of sugar in your blood. It's going to be lower. If you eat sugar, you're going to eat a hell of a lot less and have the same amount of sugar in your blood. But none of it is less healthy than the other, because it all gets broken down the exact same way in your body. Where it becomes unhealthy is to be full with just plain sugar, you would have to eat an obscene amount. Or to be full with spaghetti, you have to eat a lot more of it than you would of steak. So you'd get more sugar that way. So it's like, it's all about relevance. And these people who sell these cure-all organic BS remedies have zero comprehension of that. Or if they do have comprehension, they are deliberately not telling you so they can make it sound like it's a lot scarier than it is, when it isn't. It's all about relevance. You can eat McDonald's on a fairly regular basis and not have any real medical consequences, as long as you are doing it within a reasonable amount. You know what I mean? Oh, okay, you're Kitsune. Okay. No worries. Okay, are you in Canada or are you in the States? Brixton, I actually made a video about this. Or no, I made a response to somebody. I don't know if it was a video or if it was just in comments. But that's exactly it, is they don't teach us the most basic stuff when it comes to healthcare. I didn't learn about most of this until I was in college studying to be a nurse. That's when I started to realize how much deeper knowledge there is and how less scary some of the stuff is out there. But like some of it's really, really basic. Like just the fact that everything we eat gets converted to sugar. Everything we eat gets converted to sugar. Sugar is the only thing our bodies can really eat and energize ourselves with. There's vitamins and stuff and proteins that we need. But when it comes to like actual energy for our bodies, it relies on sugar. And so everything is reduced to sugar. So this whole idea of like fructose being this horrible sugar versus just regular glucose, they're all sugars. All of them are. Where it's bad is how much you have of each, right? It's like alcohol. You can drink alcohol and be somewhat safe. It's been proven now that alcohol at all levels causes a little bit of damage. But there's a really big difference between having like a beer on the weekend on a hot day outside versus drinking a 6-pack in an afternoon every day, right? Of course, if that's what you're going to be comparing it to, then yeah, drinking is horrible for you. But you can't say drinking is horrible for you to the person who only drinks one beer once a month, right? It's not going to have the same effect on them. Just like if you go and have McDonald's once a week, if you go and have McDonald's a couple times a month, you're not going to all of a sudden have a heart attack because you had that, right? But McDonald's does have a really high risk of a heart attack for somebody like me who eats it almost every day because I don't really have much choice. And then saying it's less healthy than a hamburger or than a sandwich, again, relevancy, right? Like I work a fairly physical job, so when I eat dinner, I eat a fairly hefty dinner. And if I were to eat a hefty dinner of a sandwich, sure, there's more veggies and stuff involved, but I'm also eating a hell of a lot more processed food through my sandwich than I would be with a burger. But I'm also having a lot more salt in my burger than I would be with a sandwich. So like it all gets really, really complicated really quickly. But understanding that it's not as cut and dry as a lot of these health people try to tell you it is, helps you kind of steer clear of their BS that they try to tell you. The whole detoxifying your body is one of the biggest grifts that we have right now, because that is literally your liver's only job, is to detoxify your body. That is what your liver does all day long. That's all it does, is detoxify your body. When you pee, your liver and kidneys, when you pee, that is all the toxins in your body being let out. That is what it does. Your kidneys are taking your blood and filtering it and then pulling out all the toxins, and then you pee it out. Like, that's what it does. And your liver sends all that stuff to the same places for you to poop out and for you to pee out. Like, that's what your body is doing. So by drinking a magic remedy, you're not suddenly detoxified, or by starving yourself, you're not suddenly detoxified. Or this whole pH thing, that's all BS too. Your body's whole job is to maintain pH balance, and you can die from having a wrong pH balance by just a couple of like decimal place changes. You can have like a tenth of a change could kill you. So like this BS of like, oh, your body's too alkaline, you would be dead if that was the case. You wouldn't be surviving, because your body cannot survive if it's too acidic or too alkaline. It has to be balanced, and it's a very small window for it to be balanced in. So this whole pH balance thing is BS too. Complete BS. I'm just waiting for the heart attack. Now, Red Bull is dangerous. Red Bull is very, very dangerous. That's one of those companies that I think is gonna kind of end up with the same. Now, the billionaires that run it don't care, because they'll be dead by the time it happens, but they're gonna end up in the same place that Pfizer has ended up, where Pfizer has been blamed for the whole narcotic addiction craze that's been, not craze, epidemic that's, covering the States and Canada. Pfizer's been to blame for it, and they've been held liable for it, but a few $1 million is nothing to the $1 billion corporation. I think Red Bull's going to be the same thing, is they've been so successful, but in the future they're going to be to blame for a lot of people having heart issues as adults, because they're selling to kids. Red Bull, Monster, all of those energy drinks. I've had an energy drink reach out to me, and I don't want to work with an energy drink. I'm not going to say I never will, but morally, I don't want to work with an energy drink company, because I don't want to be responsible for a bunch of kids ending up with heart problems. I've got heart problems, and I wouldn't want that on anybody. It's a pain. You're in Ontario too, Crimson? Yeah. Okay, so A&W is... okay, I've been to Five Guys. I'm not a big fan of Five Guys. I've seen the American Five Guys, and I would much rather have the American Five Guys. That looks friggin' delicious. I'm not a big fan of the Canadian one. Just not... I like the fact that they like dump a bunch of fries in your bag, but I don't think the burgers are really anything to write home about. I would rather have A&W or Harvey's. Harvey's has some of the best burgers in the world, and the fact that they actually barbecue them for you... Oh, wait, that's not what I want to use. It's going to burn and I'm going to die. Hurry. But A&W in Canada has some of the best beef. Outside of Harvey's, has some of the best beef. And for Americans, and I'm pretty sure Europe also doesn't have it. I think Harvey's is strictly Canadian. Harvey's is a burger fast food restaurant chain in Canada, at least in Ontario. I don't even know if it's all Canada, where they do it like Subway, where you tell them what you want, and then they go through, like, you go up to the person and they put the toppings on right in front of you, and they ask what you want, and you pick out the toppings and everything. But they actually barbecue your burger. It's not put on a grill. It's not a frozen burger that's, been microwaved basically to keep it warm. When you order it, I think it might be frozen. It's probably frozen. But like, they put it on a proper like fire grill, and it gets barbecued before you eat it. And then you pick your toppings out one by one. It is such a good burger franchise. Their burgers are amazing. Oh, they're so good. Oh, that's the worst, Weewan. That's the worst. We have such different takeaways. Yeah, we have very, very different fast food here. Even the same franchises are very different in Canada. McDonald's, from what I've seen, is very, very similar. Very, very similar. But like A&W is famous in the States. Just like it is here. Like it's not like Burger King or McDonald's level famous, but it's a well-known franchise in the States. Oh crap. But in Canada, A&W is a respectable franchise. Like they make very good food. It's very expensive, but if you go to A&W, you're getting the money that you're paying for. Like it's very, very good burgers. But from what I hear in the States, A&W is not a very good franchise. Like you get A&W and it's like getting McDonald's. You're not going to get a high class burger. You're going to get pretty much garbage. Yet they're the same company. They're just owned by two different people. It's the same franchise, but the Canadian franchise is owned by a totally different company than the American franchise. So we have a very high standard versus the American version of A&W. Like we even have root beer floats, and our root beer is legendary here. And the root beer floats are really good. It's like the reason you go to A&W. You're in New Zealand. Nice. How's the weather over there? I've never been to New Zealand. My uncle goes to New Zealand. He used to. I don't know if he does anymore. He lives in Australia, and he was the head professor of the English department at the university. I can't remember what university. I want to say it's the University of Australia, but I don't want to sound like an idiot if I'm wrong. And they used to fly him out to give lectures in New Zealand on a regular basis. He used to go all the time. I've always wanted to go. I've always wanted to go to Australia and New Zealand. We found one bastion and it didn't have the stupid things that I'm looking for. And I've been streaming for 2 hours and nothing. Crap, what time is it? Okay, I gotta get going in about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Yeah, we're... Stupid game, shut up. You're being so loud. How's the volume for you guys? Okay, it's okay. Yeah, we're much more franchised. Canada and the States. Canada's like a mini States when it comes to capitalism. You know, the whole run big business all the time. So there's a lot more franchise-based stuff in Canada and the States, I find. But I find that there's a lot more mom and pop style shops pretty much everywhere else in the world. And the beauty with that is you get more variety with a mom and pop shop versus with an American or Canadian style franchise, which can be a good or a bad thing. You know, like if you find a really great restaurant in your hometown, you're not going to find it anywhere else. Whereas like with a franchise, you know that you like that franchise. You can go anywhere in the country with that franchise and it's going to be the same food. But yeah, I prefer the mom and pop thing. I definitely prefer the mom and pop thing. It's been quite chilly. Yeah, it's been cold here today. You have a heat wave? Wow, we were the same. We had a long chunk there where we had no rain. It was really dry, and then it rained for a couple of days. It rained yesterday, and it's been really cold. We haven't turned on our air conditioner. We just keep the windows open, and it's actually cold in the house. Oh god, did I just end up over a big lava pit again? I think I did. Canadian local flavor masters. Yeah, they always do. They always do. There's one which they're branded like they're a franchise, but they're not. In my hometown, specifically in Hamilton. Hamilton is not a very nice town to live in, by the way, but it is a fairly big city. But they have a restaurant, and this restaurant is worth the commute for me to go see it. It's franchised as if it's a Flintstones franchise. It's themed after the Flintstones. It's called the Bedrock Bistro, and they have like the Flintstones cartoon playing on the TV, and they have a bunch of Flintstones like toys and stuff all around the restaurant. I pointed up because they have them like sills around the edge of the restaurant. All their foods are named after like Flintstones inspired stuff, and it's a breakfast all day breakfast place. Some of the best breakfast food ever. It used to be very budget. Like you used to be able to have a full breakfast meal for like $5. Now it's become more high-end price. A new family bought it, and they upped their price quite a bit. Now it's like $12 per meal. Like they've more than doubled the pricing, but the food is still really good. But man, you try to go there on a Sunday, you're going to be waiting for an hour just to get in the restaurant because it's so popular. Because yeah, it's a mom and pop shop and the food is just so good. So good. You know the Bedrock? Yeah, the Bedrock Bistro is fucking awesome. Oh man, that's the one place. That's the one place I'll commute to go see. I was talking about, or I don't know if I don't think you were here earlier. I was talking about got in a car accident because my favorite restaurant burnt down, and I was driving right by it. And I was looking as the lady slammed on her brakes. It was the Bedrock Bistro when it burnt down. They had all their lights on like 2 days later, and I looked over and I thought it was open, and then I crashed into the lady. But oh man, that place is great. It's warm in Finland. Yeah, it's cool here. It's really cool here. We've had really hot weather for a few days. Like there was a couple of days where our air conditioner, it's been on the fritz, and it was warmer in the house than it was outside. And outside we were sitting, Celsius wise, we were sitting at like 28, 29 degrees, and the house was sitting at like 31, 32 degrees. It was horrible. Right now the house is cool, and all we have is the window open. But it's gotten really cold all of a sudden. Exactly, right? You know it's true passion for a restaurant if I crashed because I love it so much. Oh, the Bedrock is so good. I love the Bedrock so much. It's been raining for 3 straight days now. Yeah, there's been so many fires in Canada. It's so scary. I'm glad that it's been raining for that reason in particular. The smell of smoke is finally gone. I live in the Falls, so I haven't been near the fires, but the smoke smell was here. So I'm glad it's been raining to kind of help quench some of that, but it's still scary to think that we're not even in our forest fire season yet. So like, what's it gonna be like in a month when it is hotter? Oh, scary times. Yeah, I was fine. It wasn't a bad accident. Like, we weren't going fast. Now, the lady was 100% a Karen. Because I was slowing down when I got to the intersection. And because it was one of those, I was looking, I saw the light go yellow, and then I noticed that I looked away as I saw the light go yellow. So it was just one of those, like, I glanced that it was going yellow as I looked away. So I was starting to slow down because I knew I wasn't going to make it across the street. But she was already at the intersection when it went yellow. So I just assumed she would keep going, but instead she slammed on her brakes and then I hit her. So I was probably going about like 30 kilometers an hour. It was fast enough, but it wasn't like insanely fast. Her car had 0 damage. Nothing happened to her car, but she was in a minivan and I was in a Ford Focus. And so, you know, she had like the lifted back and I went down. So her car like destroyed my whole hood. Her van was perfectly fine, but she came out with like, she was fine at first, and then she saw me and then instantly started with the, oh my neck, oh I can't move, even though she was like perfectly fine like half a second beforehand. And then I went and I parked my car in a parking lot, and she was adamant that I would call a tow truck. But the last time I called a tow truck, they charged me $500 to get my car out. And because my car was one of those old beaters, I was like, I'm not going to pay $500 for tow, and the car is fine. It's just the hood is messed up. So I went and I parked in a parking lot, and she went and parked next to me after exchanging information, after having all my info, because she wanted to witness that I was getting a tow truck and that I wasn't just going to be, driving this car home. And so I sat, and at the time I had the day off. So, I had finished my shift for the day. And so I sat in my car for 2 hours. And the whole time she was on her phone. She was doing a bunch of stuff. She's perfectly fine at that point because she thought I wasn't watching her. She's perfectly fine. Her neck injury was magically gone while she was sitting there. It was only there while she was, yelling at me. And then after about 2 hours, she realized she has stuff to do. I didn't. She didn't realize she was messing with an antisocial person. So eventually she drove away, and then I drove my car home. Brixton, it was years ago. It was years ago. That car, it wasn't totaled. I bought a headlight at a junkyard for like $25, and I bought a hood. I think it was like $90 for the hood. I replaced it myself, and then the car was fine. It was just physical damage. Thankfully, it was just the headlight and hood, and then it was good to go. Smelly cheese. I did know that. My thing might say agent debris hunting. It's not supposed to. I'm looking for a bastion. I'm looking for a bastion, but I got to a point where I was surrounded by lava pits, and so I'm kind of just wandering around, trying to find an open space again. Trying to look for a bastion, but I haven't had luck because this is what's happening. See? Is that a bastion? No. It looks like bricks though. Is that part of a bastion that spawned kind of? Maybe. Did I just head right back to where we were coming from? I guess so. Oh no, I'm heading sideways. Okay. Let's check this out and then I gotta get going in about 5 minutes. Let's just see if this is a bastion and then I gotta get going. Yeah, so I'm using Restream, Smelly. I'm using Restream and I updated it on Twitch and YouTube, and then Restream likes to re-update it, and I forgot to update Restream. And so Restream updated it to my old title. So that's not on you, that's 100% on me. 100% on me. Yeah, thankfully it wasn't crazy expensive to repair. I've had enough accidents where it was crazy expensive to repair and it really sucks. Now I'm like super cautious when I drive. And now because my car is relatively new, it's a couple years old now. It's a 2019 Civic. But I know that it's also the not high-end version, but it's a nicer version of the car. So it's not going to be cheap to fix if anything happens to it. So like I'm very much not looking forward to having to repair it. So I'm trying to avoid it as much as possible. I even went, I bought it in October of last year. So I haven't even had it for a year yet. And it is a bastion. Okay. We'll explore this bastion next time. Let me just make a little base here. So when I load in, I'm not all of a sudden surrounded by like spawned in pigs or something, but leave this open so I can see that it's a bastion so I can remember what we're doing. Anyways, I had my first winter with the car and we had some really big storms that came out of nowhere and lasted for like a day or two, but I still had to drive. And if you don't know anything about Honda Civics, the newer models, sorry, I'm trying not to yawn, I'm tired. I forgot to take my meds this morning. That's why I'm so tired. They added like a special like scrape guard underneath, which is just a piece of aluminium, depending where you're from, to protect it just from like little stones and stuff, or if you bottom out so you don't scratch the actual car. Instead, this piece of metal is destroyed and it's cheap. Well, during the snowstorm, I hit a patch of snow. I was driving on a side street to get to my brother's house, and it was a section that hadn't been cleaned by the plows. And so when I got to it, it was right at the intersection, and because the cars had been going around, there was a lump in the middle, and it was late at night. I think it was Christmas. It was late at night, and so I couldn't see where that lump was, and I went over it, and it dented my protector underneath the car. And so for a few weeks, every time I hit anything, like any little divot in the road, it would scrape. Getting into my driveway, it would scrape. Even like if I was driving in certain areas that like the road wasn't totally even, or like the parking lot, it would be scraping as I was driving. Every time I hit the brakes and the car would tilt forward slightly, it would scrape. Like, and I'm talking tilting forward, like you don't notice it's tilting forward, but it was so close to the ground that little like half a centimeter would now cause it to scrape. So I went to Honda to get my maintenance done on the car, and I asked them to take a look at it and just see if they could just like dent it back so it was straight. Because the car is a lower car naturally, I couldn't get underneath it, and I don't have a jack or anything outside of the emergency jack, which you shouldn't get under your car with the emergency jack. And so I couldn't get underneath it to like undent it. So I was like, can the guy just like take a hammer to it or like pliers or something and just straighten it out so I don't scrape all the time? And the mechanic told the service guy that it couldn't be undented, that it was so weak that it would just bend right back and end up breaking. And so he gave me the pricing for this little piece of aluminum that was destroyed with one snowstorm, and they wanted $500 for the piece and $200 for the installation. $700. Or I could just remove it, because every other Honda Civic has never had it. This is the first one that had it, and almost always it gets destroyed in the winter. And that it wasn't going to cause anything and it wasn't going to affect my warranty. So I just removed it. What was the point of paying $700? So if that was for a piece that gets destroyed on a regular basis, I don't want to know what it's going to be like if I have like to replace my hood or something. No, thank you. No. I have too much of a lead foot. I've gotten in too many accidents. The temptation would be too high for me to have that car. I also have a family, and I need something that is safer and more fuel efficient, and less fun. I would probably kill myself if I had something like the Type R. No, it's just a regular Civic. It's a 4-door sedan Civic. It's an EX, so it's the step down from the Touring model. So I've got everything that the Touring has except for the subwoofer, the built-in GPS, which is still hit and miss depending on where you get your car, and the leather interior. But I have everything else that the Touring has. Oh, and I don't have fog lights. So those are like the 3 big things you get with going with the Touring versus what I got. But mine has everything else except for that. So no subwoofer, no leather, no fog lights, and then no built-in GPS. But with my Apple, I just plug it in. I've got the Apple Car or whatever it's called. So I don't really need the GPS. There is a Type R with 4 doors. There is. But the more common one is the coupe. But no thank you. No thank you. I would end up killing myself. It's kind of like why I would never buy something like a Mustang or a Porsche. I'd kill myself. It would be way too tempting. It would be way too tempting. Even like I drive with the economy mode on all the time because I'm on the highway all the time, so it actually saves me some money on the fuel, having it, you know, coast at a lower RPM the whole time. But like when I'm feeling spicy, I turn it off and you get that little boost of torque. And even that is too tempting for me. I couldn't imagine having, you know, what is it, like 280 horsepower or 300 horsepower or something like that in the Type R. Couldn't do it. I would kill myself. It would not be a good thing. It would not be a good thing. They don't make an Integra anymore, right? They don't make the Integra anymore. The Integra, what year would it have been? I think it would have been like the 99-ish Integra. Yeah, like the 99 model Integra, the one with the circle lights in the front. Oh, that was the car I would die for when I was a kid. I wanted that car so bad. So bad. There's going to be a new one in 2024. I hadn't heard about that. Well, I needed a car last year, so it wouldn't have Integra would not have been an option for me. So I went with it was between the Civic and the Corolla. Not bad. It does look like the newer Civic, and I don't like the newer Civic. I like the older Civic. The 2019 Civic is the one I like. The back end of the new Integra is really nice. I'm just looking at it right now. The back end is really nice. I like the back end a lot. I don't like the headlights, the Accord style slim long headlights. I don't like those. I like the 20, what was it? I want to say 2016 to 2022 was the range that the model that I have had. I like that one. Yeah, it's definitely nice for a 20-year return. It's really nice. The back end is amazing. It looks like a Supra. The back end looks like a Supra. I like that. I do like the back. But no, I went with the Civic. I do like it though, because the Civic has a nice sportier look. It's obviously not a sports car. I know it's not a sports car, and I'm not trying to pass it off as a sports car. I haven't done anything to it. It doesn't have like the fin in the back or anything like that. But with the EX, you know, I got the upgraded rims. I've got really dark tint. I think it's like the darkest legal tint you can get. And it's got the sunroof. The sunroof for me was the big one. I wanted the sunroof so bad. And that's more than enough for me, but I feel nice driving in it. Versus like my Kia Soul, which was a big box on the road. The newer Kia Soul wasn't that bad looking though, but still it's the Kia Soul, and it was better than the Mitsubishi Lancer that I had. Now the Mitsubishi Lancer was much more rally car inspired, which felt a lot sportier, but I really like my Civic. I really like my Civic so bad. Oh, we win. I know that feeling. So I prefer driving manual, we win, but it's not very common here in Canada. You don't get a lot of manual cars. My Lancer, the one that I had, was manual. The Kia Soul didn't come in manual. The Honda Civic, only the Type R and the Sport come in manual. Unless you like custom order it, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you have to custom order if you want a manual in like the regular versions of it. But I want to say the base model, like the complete base model of the Civic, comes with manual. The Sport model and the R model, which is like the high-end sports model, are the only ones that come with manual. But like the one I have only comes in automatic, which really sucks. They don't give you the option. Automatic is not... manual is not very standard out here. You don't see it very often. I know in Europe it's very common, and there's like this belief among European men that if you can't drive standard, like Americans are weak because they can't drive standard. It's not that. It's just we drive a hell of a lot more than Americans do, than Europeans do, because most of our cities are built in a way that you can't really get to them without driving. Almost everybody commutes to work, and so it's very hard to... It's an easier sell for people to drive an automatic car when you're stuck in traffic on the highway, so you don't have to constantly be shifting. Like my commute during rush hour could be up to 2 hours long, and so constantly shifting for 2 hours is just a nightmare. I'd rather go automatic. I would rather go standard, but automatic is a much easier sell, so they just make more automatic cars here, so it's almost impossible to get standard cars easily here. But I prefer standard. That's why I got the Lancer, because it was standard. But it's just so uncommon here. It's so uncommon here. Really? No, here, if you do your test in a manual, you have to do it properly in a manual. So gear down every time you go to brake and all that kind of stuff. No coasting, all that. But if you get it in automatic, you get to drive manual too. No difference there. But because manual is so uncommon, it's not really a concern here. Yeah, most of them are beat up because the people buying manuals are people that are into cars and that are, you know, into like racing and souping up, and they really want to push their car because manual is much more fun to drive. You have way more control over the car, right? It's not fun. Like mine's got that CVT transmission, right? Which is the variable transmission. And so like I put my foot down and yeah, it mimics changing gears, but it's not the same. It's not the same as like manually kicking your car into gear and feeling that sudden jolt, even if it doesn't have a lot of horsepower. So the people buying standard are people that are into those, and it's going to be pushed, right? So it's going to be beat up a lot more. And they're usually older because older cars are much easier to find. But nowadays, a lot of newer cars, they don't come as an option for all the trims. And like the EX is a common trim for the Civic. And then the base model is the common trim. But almost always they're going to go with automatic because the base model is going to be for, you know, older people who aren't interested in manual. And then the EX doesn't come with it at all. So you're just not going to see it on the road as often. So in like 10 years, when this Civic is an older Civic that, you know, teenagers are going to buy, there's not going to be a lot of manual ones out there. But yeah, driving on the highway is a nightmare with a manual car. Total nightmare. Setting up for failure. Yeah, and the big thing with automatics is if your transmission goes, it's not a cheap fix. With standard, it can be a very expensive fix. That's why I got rid of the Lancer. Is I bought the Lancer for $5,000 and then my transmission went. And it was the slave cylinder, I think is what it was. And the repair was going to be $2,500. And so for me, it was like, if I'm going to pay the $2,500, I might as well just put that towards a down payment to another car that's going to be reliable, because if this went, I don't know what's going to go next. And the air conditioner was already failing in that one. The sunroof didn't work on that one. So I was like, it already needs a lot of repairs. If I'm going to spend $2,500, I'll put it on a down payment on a new car. So then I put it on a down payment. I was looking at a brand new Civic, but then they told me it was going to be 3 to 4 months before it was shipped in. And I needed it like ASAP, and this one happened to be on the lot, and this one was going to be available in 48 hours. So I was like, yeah, I'll take this one. Once I drove it, I was like, I love this one. I'll take this one. I'm okay with taking a car that's 2 years old. It only had 28,000 kilometers on it. Like, it was nothing for a car that was 2 years old. 28,000 is pretty friggin' good. And it was in mint condition. It had a couple of dings, like light scratches from stone chips, and then one scratch on the side that was covered up with a bit of a pen, but like no other problems from it. It's perfect. I love it. Yeah, if I can get to 250,000 kilometers on it, I'll be happy. Anything after that will be, icing on it. But if I can get 250,000 kilometers out of it, I'll be happy. My Civic Si that I had was almost at 400. It was like 350,000 K is where I had it when it crashed. They're amazing. They go forever. If you take care of them, they go forever. But you do want to drive. Yeah, Mero, like I said, for us, we drive a lot on the highway. So manual it's a godsend, because it's a nightmare when you're trying to go and be on the highway for an hour and you're constantly stop, go. And you're changing gears constantly. And it's always like, it's not like you stop and wait for a minute and then you switch gears. It's that point where like you go so slow that the car starts to shake. So you got to put it in neutral, but then it starts to move. So you got to put it back in drive while you're still coasting. Like you're not even fully stopped, but you still have to get out of gear and put it right back in. So it's like you're constantly in and out, in and out, in and out. Automatic, don't worry about it. And with the Civic that I got, it has the Honda Sense, which, if you guys don't know, the Honda Sense is a bunch of sensors built into the car. So it almost automatically drives. Like, it keeps me in the lane. And the cruise control measures the car in front of me. So it will actually stop with traffic and go with traffic. So I can literally just sit there and like have two fingers on the steering wheel just to make sure that I'm alert, is what it checks for every few seconds. But the car drives itself in traffic. Like, it makes it so much more fun to drive that I don't have to actually be changing gears all the time. It's great. It's definitely nice. I like it. I love my Civic. It's and when I bought it, the whole idea was I'm going to buy a car that I'm going to enjoy. If I'm going to be screwed no matter what I buy, I'm going to buy a car that I want. And so I got it, and I love it. Freaking love my car. Anyways, I got to get out of here. I got to go pick up Nora. Thank you everybody for being here. I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, right? I can't see the date. There it is. Yes, tomorrow's Friday. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll probably play some Dead Island tomorrow. I've been playing a lot of 7, you should have right as I'm leaving. I'm going to be playing some Dead Island tomorrow. We've been playing a lot of Minecraft, but I'm starting to feel better. I still have my moments, mourning my dad, where it like really hits hard. But I'm starting to feel better. So I want to start getting back into some other gameplay as well. So we'll be playing some Dead Island tomorrow. We're stuck at a boss fight, so I might have to wander around trying to level up before we go fight the boss, but we'll get back into that. I'm having a lot of fun. 7, thank you for popping in even though I'm leaving. I appreciate you being here. Yeah, car loans suck. Car loans really suck. I'm waiting for my inheritance to come through from my grandmother. I'm going to be putting a chunk on my car because I want to bring my car loan down. I don't want to pay as much as I'm paying. I'm paying way too much. Ugh. Today is Friday. Oh yeah, because you're on the other side of the planet. You will be seeing me. Actually, it'll probably be Saturday for you. I know in Europe it's Friday, but I used to do evening streams on Thursdays, so it was technically I was doing a Friday morning stream and then a Friday night stream. It seemed like a stream twice in a day when people in Europe were watching me, but I've split it up now. So but yes, you'll see me Saturday. Anyways, yeah, it's 6:30 a.m. on Friday. Yeah, no, it is for me it's only 2 p.m. on Thursday. You're living in the future. Future time traveler here. You got to start a whole TikTok about it. You'll be famous. All right, everybody. I got to get out of here. I got to go pick up Nora. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you all on Friday, tomorrow, or Saturday for people in New Zealand. But I'll see you all tomorrow. TikTok, thank you so much for being here. Have yourselves a great day. I love you all, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. And Twitch and YouTube, thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. I know I can always count on you guys. But I will see you all in a couple of days, in a few hours, in a day, whatever. I haven't taken my meds. I'm not thinking right, okay? But I'll see you soon, and we'll do some Dead Island, something a little bit different. And then I'm considering, I want to introduce some VR stuff into the channel. So I'm trying to figure out how I can do that because I want to play some VR stuff on the channel for sure. It's just, VR is fun. That's all I can say. VR is fun. All right, everybody. Take care. I'll see you later. And have yourselves a great rest of your day or evening, depending on where you are in the world. All right.